Scooby-Doo, where are you? Hey, hey, Wolfpack, we're back with another surprise tier list. Once again, talking about those meddling kids and their dumb dog Scooby-Doo. We talked about the movies, now we're talking about the TV shows. And mercifully, there aren't as many as I expected, so hopefully this tier list doesn't peak at 7 hours. Yo, what's good, bro? Hey, Kevin, you made it to the tier list. Hey, Kat. Hey, Yara, you made it. Yeah, we're gonna be talking about Scooby-Doo. We talked about the movies. Now we're talking about the TV shows. All of them, from the original classic to that show we don't like to talk about, Mindy Kaling's assassination of the icon. I don't like Scrappy-Doo. None of us do, Kevin. Well, in the Scrappy trilogy, he was a lot more tolerable. In the shows, he sucked. Whoa, I think I might have watched all the Scooby-Doo shows. Yeah, me too. Cartoon Network's been rerunning all of these recently, so I finally got to watch some of these shows I never saw before. Some I did have to cheat. I did have to go online to find the 13 ghosts of Scooby-Doo, but I've seen pretty much all these shows. Unfortunately, for some. Yeah, we all don't like Scrappy-Doo. Hey, Kat. Hey, Kira, glad you made it. I did see Ruby versus Maka. Good for you. Just in time. Hey, Joseph Segala. Hi, Kat. Hey, Bat Kid, you made it early this time. I wasn't late this time. Nope, we're just starting. I'm started doing more afternoon streams, so people can actually show up and see that we're streaming. Alright, so we're back talking about that dumb dog and those meddling kids, Scooby-Doo. I love Scooby-Doo. If you've been living under a rock, here's the gist of it. Scooby-Doo and those meddling kids are a mystery-solving team going around, traveling around the world, going on a ton of creative adventures, defeating evil monsters who are usually bad guys in masks. They've had just as many shows as they have movies. You'll see a lot more Scooby-Doo movies, but the TV shows, most of them anyway, are pretty good. It's basically a murder mystery plot, but a PG cartoon version. Scooby and the gang get into more funnier antics. Some horror movie style storytelling and horror movie elements are present, but the show never got dark, unless you watch Velma, and it's not good dark, it's bad dark. But yeah, usually it's entryway horror for kids, and that's what makes the show fun. Everyone has their own favorite incarnation of Scooby-Doo. We've all pretty much grown up with it. Scooby-Doo's been around for, nearly 50 years at this point, so chances are you might have seen at least one of these shows. Surprisingly, we don't have as many shows as movies, but that's a good thing. I'll try and keep this one short. Don't worry, I won't tell you every detail of every episode ever, but my thoughts and feelings on every show, from the original classic Scooby-Doo Where Are You to Mindy Kaling's abortion. And I will be ranking them all up here on this here tier list. We are going with classic letter grades this time because honestly I didn't plan to do this stream. It's something I wanted to do, but figured nobody would mind if I do it before October time. But we'll go over the slots. If this is your first tier list ever, I will be ranking each and every one of these shows from top best to bottom worst. Then we have their own letter grades, and Velma. Okay, so up top is S tier. These ones, the perfect ones, the 10 out of 10s, the masterpieces, the gold and platinum skull territory, the best Scooby-Doo shows, and possible cartoons of all time. Up top, these ones are the top dogs. Underneath, we have A. These ones, good, not great. Have a lot of solid elements, a lot of fun stuff, really solid strengths. I might have something I dislike about them, like a nitpick, or some kind of misstep that the show made. Not quite perfect, but still golden. They are definitely the A tier dogs. Then we have B. These ones, decent, above average, they're satisfying, they're very watchable. I'm sure some people might love them, but honestly not one of my all-time favorite Scooby entries, if you catch my drift. These ones, I would say, are okay, they're fine. Underneath we have C. These ones, average, the mess, the mediocres, the forgettable duds. Basically, they had a spark of hope there, could have amounted to a great show, an awesome entry for that cartoon dog, but kind of fell short, an equal amount of bad holding them back. They're going right on to C. Then underneath we have D. These ones are duds, the lame ducks, the underwhelming Scooby-Doo shows. Honestly, the shows you might have forgotten even existed will be on here. These Scooby shows did nothing for anyone and do not have a huge number of fans, myself included, because this is my list. Yeah, you get it, it's a D student. Underneath we have F, and these ones, bad, just plain bad, not good, could have been something good, but ended up a total failure. Nothing fun about this show, nothing good about it, and nobody has ever talked positively about it. These ones like 1 out of 10s. But underneath that, we have Velma. You'll never guess what's gonna go down here. An abomination. Awful. Negative infinity out of 10. The worst of the worst. The ultimate trash tier. And disrespect to a show that deserves it. Will we see more than that one show down here? We'll see. Yep, you weren't late this time, Joseph. Thank you, Broadcast TV, for mixing up the show episodes and just putting on whatever you wanted. Yep. John Smith, Velma should be in its own tier, haha. Yep, it is. Daphne Blake is my crush. She was a lot of people's crush, Kevin. All the girls liked Fred, all the guys liked Daphne. And all the kids love Scooby and Shaggy. Also, Kat, are you using Death Battle music for opening and ending of the movie review? Or ending of the review. Haven't done it yet. The unnamed show is worse than all the Scrappy-Doo appearances combined. Yeah, it is. I already know where Velma is going. But I was so subtle. Yeah, we got all the Scooby-Doo TV shows. We are counting just the stuff that's on TV, so no movies. Sorry, no TV movies or count. So no Boo Brothers or Ghoul School or those weird Lego movies. Yeah, I saw Dr. Wolfula did a review on the Lego Scooby movie. Yeah, we're not doing them even if they were made for TV. The actual shows. And I did count 2 crossover episodes because a lot of people have been asking my thoughts and feelings on them, but we'll get to them later. Sorry, catch up on comments. Like Scooby-Doo was so cool that Atlas made Persona 4, aka JRPG Scooby-Doo with 2 Fred, Velma, Daphne Blake, and 1 Shaggy and Scooby-Doo as a teddy bear. Do you remember the Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase for the PlayStation 2? No, I do not. I did not have any game stations around that age. Hey, Kat. I just remember the movie. The classic Real Monster quadrilogy. Yeah, Zombie Island, Witch's Ghost, Alien Invaders, and the Cyber Chase. I have seen a lot of comments asking me to review those, but I think they're pretty good movies if you want to know my thoughts now. Yeah, they're all great. Zombie Island, Witch's Ghost are S tier. Alien Invaders and Cyber Chase are a bit lighthearted, weaker, but still awesome. Haha, I called it. Like, do you think about the next time is Blade versus Buffy, but I'm Buffy versus Daphne Blake better? Yeah, Buffy versus Daphne might be better and funnier because they're both Sarah Michelle Gellar. Which is worse, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo get a clue or Velma because it's obvious which 2 are going to F tier? We all know it's going below F, we do. Mr. Crocker. And fairy godparents! Yeah, I wish Velma never existed. We all do, Light Jones. Daphne Blake is so beautiful. Absolutely. I think What's New Scooby-Doo Daphne is easily the hottest. Though, I do see a lot of fan love for Mystery Incorporated, but that version is only a high school senior. At least in What's New, they were young adults. Agree, Kevin Miles. Best way to describe Velma, barf, yep. Even Dean Winchester wanted Daphne. Oh yeah, Daphne is hot. She was like the original waifu for a lot of people. Then Dark Magician Girl came along. Like Scooby-Doo, Lego is expensive. A lot of Legos are expensive. I saw Arkham Asylum and the Death Star are on sale for only a measly $900. Like, it's awesome. I still don't know how they got away with that dead body joke in What's New. Yeah, we saw Lenin's corpse. Well, Lenin was preserved, so I guess that's how they got away with it. Alien Invaders was pretty amazing in my opinion. Yeah, I love Alien Invaders. My problem with it is, it's not really scary. Zombie Island and Witch's Ghost were hardcore horror films. Alien Invaders was actually pretty unique. I do like it. It has a more sci-fi magical feel to it. I do appreciate it. It is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece in my ranking, but it's not as scary as what Zombie Island and Witch's Ghost did. Scooby and Shaggy get a clue. Is Isn't that bad, right? Yeah, it is bad, but I will talk about it. I'm not sure if people remember Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue was a show, but we'll talk about that when we get there. That comes later. Witch's Ghost has Tim Curry. To quote Cinnamon Wins, always a win. Yeah, Tim Curry is awesome. Lego Scooby-Doo ended too soon. It tragically did. I wish they did more with it, but apparently didn't catch on. $900 for Legos? How? They're ripping children off, that's how. I kind of liked it when I watched Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. Yeah. Alright, so you all know Scooby-Doo. Do I even have to explain it? I'll explain the shows themselves, but the entire franchise in general. Wacky talking dog and meddling kids solve mysteries. We see a lot of cool villains, a lot of great adventures, and then there's Velma. I'm gonna be ranking all of them up here on the tier list, so let's finally get this underway. Let's start with the first ever Scooby-Doo show, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And this one, yeah, Velma, it sucks. Garbage animation, garbage character. No, of course not. Yeah, it's S tier. Was there really any doubt? I love the first show. Yes, I know the animation is beyond dated, but there's a really nice charm and a lot of fun to be had with it. This is Scooby-Doo Generation 1. Exactly like the first Transformers show, the 80s TMNT, 80s Thundercats, 80s G.I. Joe. This is the show that started the franchise's popularity. Scooby-Doo Where Are You is a classic. I love it to this day. It is still funny. The art actually is pretty impressive. Yeah, I know the characters are a bit stiffer and awkward, and it has that early voice acting feel to it, but it still makes me laugh. I still find it so entertaining. It is enjoyable. The ghosts are really unique and creepy in this version. Scooby-Doo Where Are You actually feels like a children's horror story. It does have a horror movie feel and atmosphere to it, a lot of detailed creativity in the villains and backgrounds especially, and the gang, not too deep of characters, but they are likable enough. They're pretty much like horror movie victims in a way, and Scooby-Doo, still funny. Don Messick is absolutely the #1 Scooby-Doo all these years later. It is a really fun show. It has that nice campy feel to it, like all the G1 cartoons back in the day. And I do love rewatching this, seeing how far Scooby-Doo's evolved now from where it started, because where it started actually did have pretty solid footing. After seeing Lego prices, Lego prices went up. They jacked them real hard. They've always been my favorite characters as well as the most used characters in all of media. Yeah, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo are fan favorites. They're pretty much the mascots of the franchise. I remember watching it as a special feature from the movie I either have or frequently borrowed from the library growing up. Yeah, VHS tapes of the Scooby-Doo movies came packed with like a bonus episode. Usually it was one of Scooby-Doo's crossovers, and I remember one had a Courage the Cowardly Dog episode. I discovered Courage the Cowardly Dog in a bonus segment. It was the King Ramses episode. It was like attached to one of the old VHS tapes of Scooby. It was really neat, and it introduced me to a lot of the Cartoon Network classics. Another one I remember had the Powerpuff Girls versus the Boogeyman. Yeah, I really miss those days. Physical media came like packed with a bonus episode. It was usually a Scooby-Doo related episode or a horror themed episode from one of Cartoon Network's greatest shows. Someone told me Samurai Jack had an episode on a Scooby tape, but I've never seen it. Only Courage and Powerpuff Girls. I did also see Johnny Bravo meet Scooby-Doo on one of them. Like is awesome, like Scooby-Doo is cool, that it's a shame they didn't make an anime series. Yet they are making Go-Go Mystery Machine, and yes, it has Shaggy and Scooby. Yeah, they are allegedly making an anime Scooby-Doo show. I'm curious as to how that's gonna turn out. I'm fine with it because, of course, kids love Scooby-Doo. I'm not gonna complain that they're getting their own generation Scooby, but will Warner Brothers actually succeed at anime? I saw Batman Ninja, and it was good, but kind of also so bad it's good. Get a Clue doesn't even feel like a Scooby-Doo show, but that comes later. Yep, it will be. We'll get to that. That is a good takeaway from Alien Invaders, but just like all those 90s movies, the gang met something supernatural or extraterrestrials, which became real. Yeah, that was really cool. I like that all of them had a real supernatural feel to them. Alien Invaders had obvious aliens. We're led to believe it's a fake out, and the bad guys actually are people in masks, but the aliens are the good guys. Kind of in a similar tribute to Zombie Island, where the zombies are the good guys, but that worked because it was like a part of a twist in the story. Like, imagine Daphne Blake's Japanese actress as Felicia, Japanese actress. That could work. Yeah, Lego prices are insane. Scooby-Doo Gets a Clue is absolute garbage. The uncanny design's exactly why I thought it was a fever dream that this show existed. Hey, don't be dissing Scooby-Doo. I know the animation is really old and outdated by this point, but honestly, this is like a really early cartoon. Without Scooby-Doo, we never would have gotten more action-adventure-driven cartoons. You know, similar to Transformers and Batman and Young Justice. The Scooby-Doo kind of showed that kids could enjoy much deeper and layered storytelling. There was a mystery aspect to every episode, and I know it got formulaic, but it showed you that kids could actually enjoy and invest themselves into much deeper stories. Back then, cartoons were kind of like the Looney Tunes, just the characters screwing around, or a bunch of dumb, mindless stuff like bad guys versus good guys with no deeper thought than that. So Scooby-Doo was revolutionary at the time because it actually had a complex story. Yeah, I know, not complex from an adult's point of view, but kids could actually follow the mystery, see the clues, see what the gang was doing, and we'd get hints as to who the suspect is. It was actually challenging for them at the time. Kind of like how the Twilight Zone is kind of predictable now, but back then, it paved the way for a lot of deep, nuanced horror storytelling. That's kind of why Scooby-Doo Where Are You is going into S tier, because after all these years, I do accept it as a really great cartoon. Like, it's Where Are You is cool and Hypnotize Daphne is interesting. We'll get to that one. Yeah, are you talking about the ghost clown? Yeah, the ghost clown. Watch the shiny coin. Agree, sister. Like, what horror for kids is cool unless someone's mother is a strict Christian mom? Yeah, Scooby-Doo probably got into controversy at the time because of the monsters, that they were too scary, but they always show at the end they were bad guys in masks. Yeah, so if you don't know the formula, it's usually some criminal or con artist using a ghost or monster persona to scare away people from their real crimes going on. The ghost is a villain or a smokescreen, a person hiding behind a mask scaring away curious looky-loos and the Scooby Gang so they don't find out about the true criminal schemes they're doing underneath everyone's noses. And I actually kind of like that because it showed kids that there was really nothing to be afraid of, that these ghosts are not supernatural, they're not larger than life, they're actually some evil criminal manipulating people. It's the original. At the time, it was original and something different if you look at cartoons around 1969. Yeah, that also helped it. Thank you, Joseph. It's funny that Velma is its own category in the tier list as the worst rank, truly justified. Yep, it is. Hey, everyone. AV Scorpio, how is everyone? Actually, it looks like it might rain outside, so I decided to do this tier list while it looked like it was gonna drizzle. My mom said it's drizzling in her area, so everything's locked up. Decided to stay warm by doing a tier list. G1 Scooby-Doo, to say the least, is a very great experience. Like, I personally think that the animation and episodes in general got better in seasons 2 and 3. Yeah, as it went on, you could tell the animation budget went up. I know it's a lot looser in the first one, but honestly, a lot of the monster designs really sell you on it. Love a lot of the classic villains, Spooky Space Kook, the Creeper. I do like the Puppet Master guy. I thought the Puppet Master was one of the creepiest monsters ever. Mono Tiki Tia, Charlie the Robots. A lot of the iconic faces of Scooby-Doo ghouls and villains are in this show, and they still actually do hold up as really fun villains. Like the year when Blockbuster exists, RIP. I'm okay. Alright, V Scorpio, good to know. I love Scooby-Doo's cousin, he was so funny. You mean Scooby-Dumb or Yabba-Doo? Like, it's a shame Killer Frost didn't show up in Batman Ninja. She might be in the third one. And if there's a third movie, I hope the Legion of Doom become a yokai team. That would be funny. Can you do a review to the Netflix series Creeped Out? I do not have Netflix, that's why I haven't reviewed it. Also, Scooby-Doo gets a nanomachine son. Which one was that? You have to remind me. At least it's not Velma. Yeah, everything on this list is better than Velma. Yeah, I remember the tagline for Zombie Island. This time, the monsters are real. I was like, they met Dracula twice, lol. Yeah, but the monsters were also dead serious in this one. Hey, it's Monica the Savage Bear. Welcome, Monica. Glad you showed up to watch us talk about a dog. Like Daphne Blake gets kidnapped in every Where Are You episode. Not every, but she or Shaggy and Scooby are usually held hostage. She got her nickname Danger Prone Daphne. Yeah, Daphne was kind of the klutz in this one. Every time they made a trap, if it wasn't Scooby screwing it up, it was usually Daphne. Daphne's kind of a klutz. Fred's the leader. He's the alpha-mailed cool jock of the team. Actually plans out the strategies. Fred had the least personality in this show, but it was kind of a simple time and a simple character. Velma was the smart one. She did have a bit of sass and funny moments here and there. I do like how she calls out everyone for screwing up, so not quite Mindy Kahn Velma, but a pretty likable tomboyish version of Velma. But of course, the true stars are Shaggy and Scooby. The funny talking dog is the most well-rounded character of the entire franchise, and in the series, Scooby is likable. I do have a fun time rewatching it because Scooby was kind of a trickster in this cartoon. Scooby usually goofed off a lot, stole Shaggy's food, and would actually cause a lot of mischief behind the scenes. Scooby's personality was not fully solidified yet, so they had a lot of fun with the character, and Don Messick acting like a dog was something I really appreciate more. Yeah, as the cartoons go on, Scooby acted more and more like a person rather than a funny talking dog. He was like half a character and half an animal pet in this show, which paved the way for a lot of good humor. And Casey Kasem Shaggy, also iconic. He's the funniest character in the show, next to Scooby, of course. Shaggy and Scooby were easily the stars of this entire franchise for a long time, and the original cartoon, they are at their funniest. Yeah, Daphne Blake got kidnapped by the Chinese Ghostface minions, the Scare Pair, by the Diet Father of Lothor design. Scooby-Doo was probably the first horror for kids because most cartoons were goofy or kid-friendly like Looney Tunes or Flintstones. I might be wrong. Hey everyone, hey Sabretooth. Like, it is hard choosing my favorite episode of Where Are You? Yeah, it is difficult for me, too. I like a lot of them. I rewatch Spooky Space Kook all the time it comes on. The Phantom Shadows, that one's a classic. Unfortunately, they rarely replay that one because I guess they're afraid it's too dark for kids or something, but that's kind of stupid. But yeah, the Phantom Shadow one, also favorite. The Creeper episode, I love that one. And I do like the Caveman one, mostly thanks to the memes. The sheriff's the caveman! The 8-Man episode was hilarious. Director said that Carl didn't want to be the 8-Man, but yet Carl was playing the 8-Man perfectly, to the point where the director is saying, gosh, he's better than that at the audition. I remember watching Scooby-Doo Zombie Island and I realized something. Why can't they have Snakebite with them? He would have beat the zombies or werecats' asses, Bruce Campbell style. Well, you answered your own question, Monica. Snakebite Scrubs was too OP. It's from Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue. Oh, thank you. The Nano Machine. Yeah, that's right. Well, that is Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue, where Scooby-Doo gets the nanomachines. Yeah, that's right, okay. It was like Metal Gear. Yeah, now it's coming back to me. They had that weird device that gave them tech. We all have our kids' horrors that introduced us to deeper horror. Being a 90s kid, mine was Goosebumps, of course. Yeah, Goosebumps is great. I remember seeing Goosebumps, not when it first aired, but when Cartoon Network was going through the live action block. They re-aired episodes of Goosebumps, and I watched Tower Prep. Those kind of introduced me to horror, but the Hub's Haunting Hour is also what I really love. Yeah, you all know I'm kind of a fan of that. I remember the Death Battle did that joke. They did, didn't they? It's funny how Shaggy and Scooby usually ran into the monsters a lot. Yeah, but that's what makes it funny. It became kind of formulaic, but I like that later shows and movies make fun of how unlucky they are. Like, when did Daphne Blake stop being danger prone? I remember it lasted all the way up to Mystery Incorporated. Then they tried to steer away from that with Be Cool, Scooby-Doo. Yeah, that Daphne is a whole nother mess we'll get into. But okay, to wrap up, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? It is classic. I love it. It is going on to S tier for sure. It will be outclassed by the later iterations of the cartoon, but there's no doubt in my mind this is easily one of the dog's best shows. After that came the Scooby-Doo movies. No, these aren't actual films. They are hour-long episodes where the Scooby Gang meets guest stars. Yes, there are actually two of these, the new Scooby-Doo movies and Scooby-Doo Guess Who, where Scooby-Doo grew so popular that a ton of celebrities wanted a piece of that action. A lot of celebrities guest starred on Scooby-Doo to introduce themselves to a new, younger generation of kids, to familiarize them with who they are, their work, and their stardom. Scooby-Doo met guest stars in the new Scooby-Doo movies, and this one, going on to A. Okay, so I do like this one. There's a lot of fun guest stars. Scooby-Doo meets Batman, the Addams Family, the Harlem Globetrotters. Unfortunately, why it's not S tier is there's a few animation errors in this one, and a lot of dated celebrities who are not around and some people might not know of, like Jerry Reed, Mama Cass, and Sandy Duncan. I do not think any kids today remember who half these celebrities are. Some are timeless, like the Three Stooges, and the Globetrotters especially. Their team is still playing in matches, though the players themselves kids might not recognize. Sorry, catch up on comments. Also, I have an idea for the sequel for Scooby-Doo to the Cyber Chase. How? Isn't the Phantom Virus dead? Scooby-Doo, Dracula's Vengeance, and we can have Dmitry Maximoff-inspired monster too. That could be fun. Imagine a K-pop Demon Hunters and Scooby-Doo crossover. No, I do not want to. Also, Death Battle making Death Battle Champions Island. I hope Catwoman gets in. Yeah, Catwoman versus Black Cat. Has that happened on Death Battle yet? I have not seen Selena enter the Death Battle ring. Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? A classic. Absolutely. Also, Daphne Blake dressed as a space kook. Yeah, I saw that. It's creepy, like Grey DeLeo does a creepy laugh. I have to hear her as that. It's from that movie I didn't see, though. I do openly agree that the puppet episode of the G1 Scooby-Doo was scary. Yeah, that one I think still is really creepy. The Puppet Master terrified me as a kitten, and I still find him kind of creepy now, especially because he looks more like a Stranger Danger type of character. He's supposed to be the Phantom of the Opera, but they gave him like a weird puppet wooden face, which adds to the creepy factor. Sabretooth, I can imagine Daphne having a crush on Genu if that crossover happens. Yeah. Like, I watched the pilot of the Knights of Geneva, and this was peak. This was that perfect sister from the Haunting Hour that should have existed, but Glitch beats them. Let's get real. When Fear Never Knocks episode from the Haunting Hour is the scariest episode in the whole series, in my opinion. I do love that one, though. Big Yellow is an underrated classic, and My Old House is my #1 favorite episode. And not just because he's my roommate. Yeah, the house was the best monster. Shut up, House. Yeah, My Old House, I found that way creepier, though I do love Fear Never Knocks. That was also a 10 out of 10 classic. Made my top 10 favorites. Guest stars like A Certain Creepy Family. Yeah, the Addams Family are in here. My brother Wolf did not like the Addams Family episode. I can see why, because they barely interact with the Scooby Gang. It's mostly the Scooby Gang exploring the Addams Family mansion, but the Addamses are kind of there on the sideline, so yeah, kind of disappointing. Though I do like a few of the guest stars. I actually do kind of like the Jonathan Winters episode. That one's my favorite. I know Jonathan Winters isn't as huge now with kids, but he's really funny. Jonathan Winters from the Twilight Zone classic A Game of Pool, among other things, of course, guest stars in here, and his is easily my favorite episode. I love the Jonathan Winters crossover the most, where they battle a creepy scarecrow at a haunted farm, and Winters gets to play like a few of his characters he does impressions of. It was actually a really fun episode, and Winters is not only hilarious, but engages in the mystery. Usually most of the episodes are OMG, look kids, it's that famous person everyone knows, and the guest star kind of meanders around into a bunch of semantics on the show, while the Scooby-Doo gang solve a mystery on the side. Here, I think they got better with the Harlem Globetrotters and Winners, cause the celebrity guest stars were actively helping in the mysteries. That's kind of why it's down a level, because sometimes there was no plot in a few of these. Mystery Inc. goes on S tier. Yeah, well, likely will. If someone has kids, Gen 1 should be one of the first shows he or she should show them. Yeah, absolutely. Though I watched Zombie Island first as my first Scooby-Doo experience and loved it ever since. Like we see Batman and Robin crossover. Yeah, Batman and Robin are in here, so DC and Scooby-Doo share the same universe. If you're curious, it is Adam West and Burt Ward Batman, not Kevin Conroy. They would save that for the later show. I think the fictional celebrity like Batman, the Addams Family work because they're timeless, but the real world celebrities can be dated. Exactly, Joseph. That's the point I was trying to make. Half the characters are timeless, like the Addams Family, the Three Stooges, the Globetrotters, and especially Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin is just as big as Scooby-Doo's franchise, so a few of them work. I think when the Scooby Gang actually met, like, fictional characters, it worked. A few of the celebrities playing themselves do not. I think Jonathan Winters was actually fun, but characters like Sandy Duncan, Cass Elliot, who died like a year or two after this show existed, and Jerry Reed, I do not think a lot of country fans watch the Scooby-Doo movies. Like, if you're into country music, you'll know who Jerry Reed is, but I do not think the modern day audience will know. Tim Conway, I do find him funny, but this was back when he was, like, famous for slapstick movies, which he references in the show, so a lot of younger kids might know him as the voice of Barnacle Boy, but in Scooby-Doo, he's like referencing his past movies and career, and yeah, it kind of adds a dated quality, because these were celebrities who were famous at the time meeting Scooby-Doo, and some of them don't work. Some people do remember Don Knotts because he's referenced in a lot of future Scooby media, and Don Knotts was an all-star celebrity at one point, though I also think the animation on some of them looks weird. So, besides the dated celebrity issue, there's also kind of some weird animation errors. Namely, a lot of the celebrities, they try to copy their likeness in the Hanna-Barbera universe, and some of them look off. I know I praised Jonathan Winters, but they drew him, like, really weirdly. His mouth is always hanging open. A lot of the characters look really stiff. Don Knotts has those infamous big bug eyes, and Sandy Duncan's face is always, like, doing this creepy doll girl smile. Some of the celebrities look kind of bizarre. The ones that worked are the ones who actually have cartoons. Like Batman and Robin, Adam West Batman and Robin did have a cartoon show at the time, and the Addams Family looked like their comic counterparts, so it kind of fit better with them, but some of the celebrities actually trying to look 2D, there was something really off-putting about a few of them. Sorry, catch them on comments. No, but your favorite blue-haired cat girl got a death battle. I saw. She lost to Tau Kaka. She is one mean Kaka. Like we get a Batman Robin crossover. That was a good episode. Well, they did two of them. One was good. One was kind of weird. I think the fictional... Okay, read that one. Never thought you'd bring My Old House back. I love My Old House. It's my #1 Haunting Hour episode. Big Yellow was scary, no doubt. I was literally going like you got to be shitting me at the end with the big reveal. Yeah, he was a real monster or a ghost haunting the mascot suit. How could the Scooby Gang meet Q? Q from Star Trek? Or did you type your sentence too soon? But still, Fear Never Knocks is something else. The guy who plays Fear puts a 15 out of 10 type of performance. When it comes to the fear factor, he's actually quite scary. Yeah, Christopher Heyerdahl, one of the best villains the Haunting Hour ever had. I hope this guy continues playing scary bad guys in his career. And it's a shame Scooby-Doo crossover never have anime franchises like Maka from Soul Eater, Teacher Anube, yeah, anime references. Anime is very stingy on what they cross over with. Yeah, Scooby Gang meets Felicia. Felicia is very adult to have on a Scooby-Doo program, though. Just make it what the A rank one. Harlem Globetrotters just makes me think of Futurama now. Yeah, they're the same team, basically. The Harlem Globetrotters easily have all the best episodes. I don't think a single one of them failed. The Globetrotters were the best celebrities. I think Jonathan Winter's episode is underrated. The Scooby-Doo meets Batman and Robin, that one's full of fun because they're stopping the Joker and the Penguin. They're like pulling villain schemes. Though, easily the worst episode. I do not like the Phyllis Diller episode. Yeah, I know Phyllis Diller is a comedy legend and she is funny, but it is a sloppy episode. The gang meets Phyllis Diller. She's being conned by this fake seance group who are trying to rob her of her money and valuables. And we never actually see the bad guys until halfway through an hour-long episode. Yeah, it's mostly the gang and Phyllis Diller screwing around, and to make matters worse, Phyllis Diller kind of disappears halfway through, and the gang don't even stop the bad guys. Yeah, there's no epic chase, no epic battle, no traps. The bad guys get busted by the cops because Phyllis Diller's neighbor saw the gang breaking and entering and accused them as being criminals, and the police arrest the real burglars. Yeah, it is lame. The Phyllis Diller episode, easily the lamest. If you're curious, I might actually do a tier list one day on all the crossover episodes this show did, because it's been re-airing on Cartoon Network and I've seen practically all of them. So I might do a tier list on what was the best guest star episodes on here, but the show as a whole, it's going on to A tier. Phyllis Diller is easily my least favorite episode. Yeah, the Harlem Globetrotters are on Futurama. Hope someday we'll actually get a darker Scooby-Doo where the monsters actually kill their targets as well as scare people away. They tried that, Monica, with Velma, and we all know how that turned out. Oh gosh, Cher and her ex-husband. Yeah, Sonny and Cher were also on here back when they were married, so it is hilariously awkward watching when they were once a duo who were together. I personally do not really like Scooby-Doo meets Batman. That one I feel like is too wacky. Yeah, with the house that went upside down and they chased the bad guy on a unicycle and fought in a toy factory. That one was really weird. It's trying to emulate the Adam West comics, but the Scooby-Doo characters do not fit in that scenario. Sorry for the mistype early, but how could the Scooby-Doo gang meet real-world guest stars from the 1970s and early 2000s and 2010s without aging unless they're time-traveling or they're immortal? Yeah, Scooby-Doo's never been great with continuity. It's usually just mindless dumb fun. Like Batgirl never gets a crossover like the DC Comics made Oracle give Daphne Blake her old Batgirl suit, and yes, she is hot in the Batsuit. Well, because Daphne and Barbara have the same figure. Okay, I remember the Addams Family and how they got John Ashton to be Gomez. Instead, they got the guy from the 70s cartoon. Oh, instead of the guy from the 70s cartoon. Well, I do not like 1970s Gomez. He has like this really weird cartoony voice. Oh, Morticia, that's French. You know that drives me wild. Yeah, that's kind of what he sounded like in his cartoon. Yeah. Very glad they got John Ashton instead. Yeah, I know we all love Raul Julia Gomez, but John Ashton's underrated. Yeah, who's Don Knotts? Well, Don Knotts was on Three's Company, but I think my younger viewers might remember him from the classic Chicken Little. Yeah, Don Knotts is Buck Cluck, the worst cartoon father of all time. Or Jonathan Winters. Jonathan Winters was a stand-up comedian. He did have his own comedy shows and comedy hours. His characters appear in the Scooby-Doo episode. He does character impressions, and he actually got to voice them in cartoon form. Yeah, he's also kind of a dated celebrity now, but if you follow my channel, you'll recognize him as Fats Brown, the pool player from The Twilight Zone, A Game of Pool. Yeah, he's the ghost pool player. Jonathan Winters was also awesome in that Twilight Zone episode. Like Batman the Brave and the Bold shows a crossover with Batman, Robin, and Weird Al. Yeah, Weird Al Yankovic, and Scooby-Doo was in there. A Spider-Man and Scooby-Doo crossover. I can imagine Scooby and Shaggy being scared of Venom when he greets them like Bruce from Finding Nemo. Hello there. I think Scooby-Doo might meet the Ninja Turtles if that Warner Brothers and Paramount merger is true. Love that Adam West and Burt Ward voiced young Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy in the time travel episode. Yeah, that was great. One of the few good modern SpongeBob episodes. I remember one of the early Batman and Robin crossovers with Scooby-Doo, not sure which one it was. There were two. One was, there was like an illegal money counterfeit scheme. They were being smuggled through punching clown dolls, and they fight like this old lady at her upside down house. The other was, they were trying to steal a flying suit, and Joker and Penguin had this base out in the forest, and they dressed as like a dryad and a troll. That one was really weird. Okay, so how you get any Scooby-Doo Zombie Island since House ate the copy? Well, gotta wait for him to dump it out. Black Cat Felicia Hardy. They were talking about Darkstalker's Felicia earlier, but yeah, Felicia Hardy is also Black Cat, hoping they get a death battle with Catwoman. Darkstalker's sister, not Marvel. Yeah, Felicia from Darkstalkers is my favorite. I remember one with a woman and a candy monster. Yeah, that was Cass Elliot, and how the actress of the episode died before she could even meet them. She recorded lines for the episode, but never actually met them because she died the year the episode came out. Tragically kind of dating the episode too, because it means future generations were not going to know who Cass Elliot was. Well, hello there, Catastrophe. I always loved your Goosebumps videos. Thank you, Noah. Glad you're a fan. We have a few more episodes, hopefully one coming in Halloween. Trying to decide if we want to do Say Cheese and Die Saga or the Cuckoo Clock of Doom. Yeah, sorry, we're doing a few variety of projects, so we were going to pick like one Goosebumps coming in October. I do have my favorite Treehouse of Horror episodes on Patreon. Check that out. Well, if Scooby-Doo gets public domain or Scooby-Doo gets owned by Disney. No, we do not need Disney owning Scooby. That was the most anticlimactic way a Scooby-Doo villain can be captured, by the cops and not the Scooby Gang. Exactly, that's why I hate the Phyllis Diller episode. Also, I simp for Jeannie. Yeah, Jeannie. I love her crossover. If we do a tier list on all the crossover episodes from the show, the Jeannie one might make it very high. Jeannie was badass in that crossover, and it is pretty funny seeing Mark Hamill in his first voice acting role ever. Especially his first meeting with Scooby. Yeah, I like Jeannie, the Genie from the Hanna-Barbera tune. Since she was my crush, that is a redhead. Yeah, she looked like a more sexualized Daphne. I loved Zombie Island and Witch's Ghost. Yeah, me too. They're classics. Tim Curry was what a fantastic choice for the Witch's Ghost movie. Yeah, Ben Ravencroft. This is evil's finest hour. Yeah, Tim Curry went full anime villain. Like I said about Zombie Island earlier. Just saw that Gomez character you mentioned, and that is not what I would like, yeah. So, avoid the old school Addams Family cartoon. Gomez's voice is weird in that. I remember the Addams Family and Jeannie living with grandparents and both broadcast and cable. I was able to watch lots of old shows. Well, some old shows still hold up and are still fun. And yeah, this show is pretty fun. It'll be awesome to see a Back to the Future Scooby-Doo crossover or a Five Nights at Freddy's Scooby-Doo crossover. Well, Matthew Lillard is Atherton, so that might happen. I often imagine a Scooby-Doo meets the Drac Pack crossover. Yeah, Emily wants us to review that. If you don't remember, the Drac Pack was a trio of teen monsters that fought a group of supervillains. There were a lot of those at the time. Yeah, like Buffy is having a remake. I heard it was a reboot, Cole. It's a sequel to the original show, but also a reboot, and Sarah Michelle Gellar is going to be the wise mentor in it. I am honestly not looking forward to it for one big reason. One, it's being backed by Disney, and two, who's handling the Buffy reboot? The director of The Eternals. Yeah, I lost all faith in it. The Eternals was a bad MCU flick. Do not recommend it. What do you hear of Nadia, the Secret of Blue Water? I heard it was like a Little Mermaid wannabe. I didn't actually watch it. I've seen the trailers, and some people said they liked it, but ended up being kind of a meh movie. Are you going to make a tier list of the Treehouse of Horrors for October? I actually do have a video on that. That one's coming out in October. I might do a tier list just to talk about all of them, but we'll see when we get there. I have like a long list of horror ideas for October. I didn't know that this Genie was based on I Dream of Jeannie. Yeah, she was, but they took a lot of creative liberties to make her cartoon more action-packed and outlandish, something the low-budget sitcom show could not do. Though they honestly didn't get the original actress of Jeannie to play her, though she did kind of sound like her. Yeah, cartoon Jeannie is a badass Genie. Like, so cool. Harris, we have that in YouTube. Fun fact, Tim Curry played Gomez in the Addams Family reunion. Yeah, he was like the only highlight of that terrible sequel. Also, the Phantom Virus isn't dead unless Ben saved him in a USB drive. Well, Ben's not gonna be hacking any computers from prison. Surprised there haven't been a Scooby-Doo crossover with any video game franchises besides LEGO Dimensions. And also, please don't be a crossover with Fortnite because it's Fortnite and it's endless crossovers. Yeah, Scooby-Doo should meet Buffy the Vampire Slayer. R.I.P. Michelle Trachtenberg. And Jax reminds me of the Phantom Virus. Really, Jax from Amazing Digital Circus Jax? I did not think that. Yeah, they're both kind of trolls. I love I Dream of Jeannie. Yeah, it's a funny show. Her cartoon counterpart is very loosely based on her. They give her a more action-adventure feel. They're going around helping people and getting into magical escapades. The cartoon is slightly better because they were allowed to do a lot more insane things. And that's why animation is superior to live action, because in animation you can do anything, you just gotta draw it. The Kitsune, I like the crossover that's canon to the series, not like a fan-made one, right? Yeah, I love I Dream of Jeannie too. Jeannie's pretty hot, and she's also hot in cartoon form. Also, Nadia was said to inspired Atlantis, the Lost Empire. I did not know that. That is Atlantis, not Little Mermaid. Oh, okay, my mistake, since I think Princess Kita is the Disney version of Nadia. Okay. And Jean, which is Japanese, Mio from Disney Atlantis. Oh no, that bad. The same director of The Eternals. Why that? Why that? Like having the same director who made Madam Web do a reboot of a lost show? That would be a bad idea. Exactly. What's New Scooby-Doo gave us The Legend of the Vampire. It gave us a lot of movies. It would have been awesome if the Yowie Yahoo is a real vampire instead of a hologram. Well, unfortunately, it's not. Okay, so to wrap up, I do think this show is pretty fun. The animation is kind of hit or miss in this. There's a lot more errors here than, ironically, the original cartoon. And some of the celebrities are now a bit dated, but that's going to be a problem for Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, too, in like a few years. But you know, I think it's pretty fun. It's dumb fun. It's great seeing the gang meet these wacky characters and celebrities, and some of them do hold up. The Harlem Globetrotters are easily top tier. Batman and Robin, classic. And it is great seeing Scooby-Doo and the Addams Family meet. You might never see some of these characters meet them ever again, because one, either the celebrity's dead, or two, copyright issues, because now a lot of copyright industries are trying to grasp their hold over a lot of these characters. The Addams Family and Scooby-Doo have never met again because they're owned by MGM now, and Warner Brothers doesn't like doing deals with them. But to wrap up, yeah, Scooby-Doo movies, it is a fun show. It's going on to A tier. So after that came the Scooby-Doo show, which I said this before in a previous tier, it's pretty much a continuation of Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? The Scooby Gang is back traveling around the world solving mysteries, but has a lot of classic monsters, and this one also going on to S tier. Yeah, I really love it. A lot of the monsters from Scooby-Doo 2, Monsters Unleashed, are in here. The 10,000 Volt Ghost, the Pterodactyl Ghost, the Skeleton Man, and the iconic Tar Monster all come from this show. And also the Cyber Chase minions, Jaguaro, Gator Ghoul, and Old Iron Face, also in this show. So, I really like this one. They quadrupled down on the horror angle and had a lot more outlandish supervillains in this one. The monsters are far more creative in this one than they were in the previous cartoon, and I do laugh a lot rewatching it. The ghost that sacked the quarterback I still have on my DVR. Really like that episode. 10,000 Volt Ghost, easily a classic, my #1 favorite villain from the show, and is hilarious seeing a lot of the Scooby-Doo 2 Scooby-Doo monsters are in here, what they looked like in cartoon form. Basically, the Scooby Gang is traveling the world in this one, solving mysteries. The monsters have a lot more themes and gimmicks, and more ludicrous schemes than before. Yeah, a lot of them just involve money laundering or stealing something, but the animation really stepped up in this one, a lot less errors, and the gang get into even more hijinks in this one. It is a blast. Curse you, stupid copyright laws. Exactly. They also had a crossover with Courage the Cowardly Dog. Yeah, I saw that. If you saw my movie Scooby-Doo tier list, I was not a fan of it. I tried liking it. I know it's Thea White's last performance as Muriel, and I love Courage the Cowardly Dog, but the movie did not impress me. I have no idea why everyone hates Scrappy. We'll talk about him. I thought he was a good character. Okay, Scrappy was good in the movies. That's what everyone knows him from. In the movies, he's good. The Ghoul School, Boo Brothers, Reluctant Werewolf, and even the James Gunn Scooby-Doo movie. In the shows, he was annoying. We'll talk about him when we get there, which is very soon. But yeah, Scrappy, I understand the hate now rewatching his episodes. Sorry, I catch up on comments. Yeah, it would be a bad idea. Like, I finally watched Knights of Ginevra pilot. Yeah, you told me that. Yeah, you said that comment already. Totally unrelated, but who would you say is on the Mount Rushmore Goosebumps edition? Okay, so out of the 4 Mount Rushmore heads, Slappy the Dummy, obvious choice. The Haunted Mask, I would argue the Mass Mutant belongs on there. Love the Mass Mutant, he's one of my favorites. And the 4th, maybe Mr. Mortman, unless I could think of a better villain. Yeah, I liked Mr. Mortman a lot, though. He was pretty cool, and The Girl Who Cried Monster. Though maybe the Executioner from A Night in Terror Tower, since a lot of fans love him too. Yeah, like, people are going to remember the Macklemore fucking 2 years from now, lol. Yeah, I was not a fan of Straight Outta Nowhere. And which is cool, like Manny the Mantis is in the series. Yeah, there was a giant mutant mantis in this one. Really underrated, creepy villain, too. I like that villain. The ghostly gondolier I also found really disturbing. He's like the Goosebumps' executioner in the Scooby-Doo show. I love the Scooby-Doo show. They basically do commit attempted murder on the Vampire of Skull Island. They attempt to murder a lot of characters here. Still surprised me that no matter where the gang go, there's always a mystery. Yeah, here, there's a lot more coincidences that the gang is vacationing somewhere, and of course, there's a villain committing evil things. Agree, sister. What are my favorite episodes? Have to be the Headless Horseman episode. Ah, yeah. Okay, so this show also has Scooby-Dum. Scooby-Dum is a character a lot of fans hated. He's basically this goofy, dumb version of Scooby. He's the weird white dog with black spots, has a southern drawl. Scooby-Dooby-Dum! Scooby-Dooby-Doo! Yeah, Scooby-Dum is in this show. I like the vampire episode, and the Headless Horseman, he's actually funny in that one. His other 2 episodes, not so much. The Gator Ghoul episode, Scooby-Dum is so annoying in that one. I understand why fans don't like him. And not a big fan of the movie episode where they help their cousin Scooby-Dee, and Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Dum have a weird crush on their cousin. Yeah, I did not need to see that. Like, what else could a Scooby-Doo meet Soul Eater be look cool, but I feel like funny with Daphne learning Maka Chop? No love lost for Erod these days. Yeah, used to love Blockbuster Buster. But I remember his review of Monsters Unleashed and the awkward silence when they research and see one of the ghosts was guilty of pirating music, lol. Remember when the company didn't care about copyright back in the 60s and 70s, did crossovers throughout time? Now every company is overprotection with their IPs. Yeah, copyright got much worse over the years. Not only do they block YouTube videos, but they also prevent a lot of future crossovers because this company doesn't want to share money with this company because they own 2 different IPs. Doing the Scooby-Doo series this time, I see. Hey, Shadowlink, you're joining us. We're on the Scooby-Doo show right now. Talked about Where Are You? It's on S tier appropriately. And the movies, which is on A tier. Thought was good, but some of the celebrities are a bit dated, and the animation is out of whack at times. But the Scooby-Doo show, really love it. It is a great follow-up series. I kind of consider it a continuation from Where Are You? It's the gang going to crazy places, having adventures, and encountering a lot more creative villains in this one. Scrappy-Doo being the villain in the James Gunn movie made so much sense. What we all thought about Scrappy-Doo, even the gang did the exact same thing that we would do to Scrappy if he was real. There's plenty of good and plenty of bad, but I already know my favorites. Yeah, I'm sure you do, Shadowlink. We did tier lists on all the good Scooby-Doo villains. I like the 10,000 volt ghost. Yes, he is awesome because he reminds me of the Phantom Virus. He would have been a real monster, but luckily they made him a real monster, Monsters Unleashed. Yeah, I love the 10,000 volt ghost in Scooby-Doo 2. He is really creepy and gnarly. What about the creeps from Calling All Creeps? Yeah, I do kind of like them too, but not sure if a lot of fans are familiar with them. I think most fans, know Slappy and the Haunted Mask, but the creeps, they're cool villains, but on Mount Rushmore, that makes me kind of question. And I agree with the shark demon should have been the pool shark. Yes, the demon shark is the true pool shark. Like, I'm still upset that the Scooby Gang never faced with a headless girl like Lala. Sorry, Akira, they went with the popular Ichabod Crane Headless Horseman. Sadly, the Headless Horseman is not Christopher Walken, so you don't get to hear his iconic quotes. Surprised you didn't mention the horrors. Oh, that's right, they should be in the Goosebumps Mount Rushmore. Okay, so, Slappy the Dummy, the Haunted Mask, Mass Mutants, and the horrors from Horrorland. Yeah, that's the Goosebumps Mount Rushmore. My second favorite is Old Iron Face. Fun fact, I mistaken him for being a mine worker instead of a pirate. Whoops. Yeah, that's okay. Old Iron Face. Really creepy origin, too. He was like a hideous prisoner the warden hated, so they welded an iron faceplate to him. Yeah, really disturbing backstories for a lot of these ghouls. I'm among the small percent that didn't hate Scrappy. We'll get there, Yara. Plenty of words to say on Scrappy, but we'll wrap up. The Scooby-Doo show, it is S tier. I like it. It's pretty much just a continuation of Where Are You, but a really badass and great continuation. One of my top favorite Scooby-Doo shows, and to this day, I still find it very fun and amusing. It's going on to S tier. Even with Scooby-Dumb. Okay, so the order is gonna get a bit weird because this was when Scooby-Doo started suffering some ratings issues. The Scooby-Doo formula got stale and people wanted to see new stuff with the show, so they decided to create a whole new teammate for Mystery Incorporated. And I believe this is where we get to Scrappy-Doo, the Scooby and Scrappy show. Yes, it's time. Scooby and Scrappy-Doo. We're counting basically all the Scooby and Scrappy shows under this one banner. There were technically two Scooby and Scrappy-Doo shows, but they use the same theme song and the same title, so yeah, counting them all together. Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo going on to C tier. Yeah, got our first negative Scooby-Doo show. Don't worry, there will be more. This is where we meet Scrappy-Doo. So, Scrappy-Doo was introduced as a new kid appeal character to win back crowds, to make the Scooby-Doo brand fun and energized, and spice up their stale formula. Scrappy-Doo is Scooby-Doo's nephew, a puppy who likes to fight ghosts and solves mysteries. Scrappy-Doo is the polar opposite of Scooby. He's much more jokey, much more in your face, very overconfident, and likes to fight the monsters. Let me at him, let me at him, let me at him, let me at him. Da-da-da-da-da-da, puppy power! Yeah, let that catchphrase haunt your nightmares again, Scooby fans. Okay, so, Scrappy-Doo, in the show, he's annoying. That is why people hate him. He is annoying, he sucks, and oftentimes he got into a lot of trouble, which landed Scooby and Shaggy and the gang into more trouble with him. So this is kind of why a lot of people hate Scrappy. Scrappy's one of those characters who's like, oh, I can help, I can do it, I can be useful, and most of the time he screws up, he fumbles, and gets the characters we like into danger. Yeah, he's one of those kid characters. He doesn't actually know what he's doing, but he believes he does. Now, I do like that Scrappy wants to solve the mysteries, but in the cartoon, he is annoying, especially the first voice. Scrappy-Doo has 2 voice actors, well, technically 4 now, but in this cartoon, he had 2. The first voice actor was god-awful. Scrappy had like a very deep Brooklyn accent voice, and it was very, very weird. He did not sound like a puppy, he sounded like a grown-ass man, which made it very off-putting. Don Messick did the second Scrappy voice, and it was a million times better. Sorry, catch up on comments. Nostalgia critic pain. Ugh, Scrappy-Doo's in this. Yeah, sorry, Yara. So, Scrappy-Doo, much better in the movies. I will admit that in Boo Brothers, Ghoul School, and The Reluctant Werewolf actually made me like Scrappy. I did love Scrappy at first as a kitten, but looking back at his TV shows, I completely understood the hatred. He was very much useless, obnoxious, annoying, unfunny, and they tried to give him catchphrases which never once worked. Goosebumps, Mount Rushmore picks, of course. The librarian from The Girl Who Cried Monster has to be up there. He had the best monster design of all of them. Into this very day, it has aged so well. Yeah, Mr. Mortman's bug face, really creepy still. What about the monster blood? It's because the sequel book ruined it. Yeah. Like Scrappy-Doo, Ruby-Doo's son. Yeah, we get to see a lot more of Scooby's relatives as these shows go on. So, Scooby was taking care of his nephew, and if you're curious, the show's plot was pretty much the same. Scrappy-Doo was just all over it. The gang are traveling around the world solving mysteries, so there's actually 3 seasons of this show, and they change basically the setting in each and every one of them. The first season, it's the Scooby Gang with Scrappy-Doo. They're solving mysteries, solving capers, and defeating villains. I actually do kind of like the star villain, and they're the Scarab guy, the blue Scarab guy. That reminded me a lot of the Masked Mutant from Attack of the Mutants. Yeah, I like the evil superhero, the weird star monster, the weird Chinese dragon monster. The monster designs were easily the coolest part of this show. Unfortunately, Scrappy got into a lot of wacky comedy antics, and they more or less annoyed audiences rather than act funny and humorous. Scooby and Scrappy, the show where everybody rage quit in the end. Yeah, this was kind of the low point of Scooby-Doo. So, Scrappy was made basically to win back children, to boost ratings, to have the hype that, OMG, they have a new teammate, and he was pretty much kind of like Poochie from The Simpsons. Yeah, anybody remember that Simpsons episodes where Itchy and Scratchy added Poochie, and Poochie was like this extreme, obnoxious loudmouth? Wow, he's really cool and in my face! Yeah, that's kind of what Scrappy-Doo was in general for audiences. I still don't get the Scrappy hate, maybe because I wasn't around when Scrappy was around. Joseph, I would recommend rewatching the Scrappy-Doo show. Another problem is, they tried shilling this character hard. Scrappy used to be everywhere. He actually has a lot of merch. I've seen it like on Amazon. Scrappy was pushed to the forefront. He was in the title. He was in the theme song. He was always hogging the spotlight. And second season got rid of Fred, Daphne, and Velma just to have Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy. Yeah, they were so desperate to push Scrappy as a character. This was where Fred, Daphne, and Velma disappeared. In the second season, they get rid of Fred, Daphne, and Velma just to have Scooby and Shaggy interacting with Scrappy. And they encountered a lot of real monsters and supernatural threats at this point. Some were cool and some were annoying. I remember this weird episode where Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy got into a bar fight with these two, like, goons, these evil trucker guys who tried to murder Scooby-Doo, turn him into a pretzel, and it was very weird. Like, we pretty much stopped having monsters or bad guys in masks, and it was usually a bunch of completely outlandish, wacky misadventures. Like, Scooby and Shaggy and Scrappy go to Wonderland. They go to the Wizard of Oz. They meet the Phantom of the Opera. They meet Quasimodo. They meet a real witch in a swamp. They meet a real mutant. They get abducted by aliens. Not guys in suits, real aliens on a scavenger hunt. And yeah, the formula was pretty much broken beyond recognition. It became all about Scooby, Shaggy, and Scrappy-Doo especially getting into bizarre antics. Then it got worse in the third season. Scooby-Doo and Shaggy also got purged, and now it's Scrappy and Yabba-Doo. Who the heck is Yabba-Doo? Well, Scrappy moved to the south with Scooby-Doo's southern Texan cousin Yabba-Doo and his ripoff of Shaggy. Yeah, Scooby-Doo was not even a part of Scooby-Doo anymore. Scrappy and Yabba-Doo and this knockoff nerdy Shaggy were sheriffs trying to protect the West and getting into wacky antics, and this pretty much solidified why Scrappy was hated. Scrappy-Doo became the center of the Scooby franchise. The show became more and more about him. They started shilling Scrappy. Scrappy's the best. Scrappy's so cool. You're not the Flashberry. Scrappy is. That's what it pretty much felt like. Scrappy was everywhere. Scrappy hogged the spotlight. Scrappy pretty much became the center of the show to the point where Uncle Scooby was gone in the final season. That's what really hurt this show. So I will admit there are some things I like about it, mostly the monsters, and sometimes the outlandish episodes were kind of so bad they're good, but Scrappy and Yabba-Doo was pretty much where the franchise died. Sorry, catch up on comments to see how you guys gonna react to Scrappy and Yabba-Doo. Like C for cringy Scrappy, exactly. Like I see cool and better than Teen Titans Go. Yeah, it is better than Teen Titans Go by far, because Shaggy and Scooby were still funny. I don't hate Scrappy, but I don't really like him either. I'm not even annoyed by him either, or it's just because I'm too mellow. Well, Scrappy-Doo was kind of the Felicity Smoke and Ray Skywalker in the old days. Yeah, that's how Scrappy was hated, folks. Scrappy became the star, and that's why people did not like him. Scrappy hogged the spotlight, hogged screen time, and to make matters worse, he wasn't funny. That's the big problem. Scrappy was not funny in this show. Yeah, I always liked Scrappy, but my main exposure was the movies, like you say. Yeah, the shows are why people hate Scrappy. The cartoons, the endless surplus of episodes that were all about Scrappy, all about his life, all about making him better than everyone. Scrappy even solved the mysteries, and they started getting rid of characters just to promote Slappy. First, they got rid of Fred, Daphne, and Velma. Then they got rid of Shaggy and Scooby by the final season. Yeah, I always liked Scrappy, but I read that one. Sorry, catch up on comments. Yeah, Scrappy is a very divisive character, to say the least. He thankfully improved in the movies, especially in Boo Brothers. Yeah, Scrappy was saved by the movies. I like him in Boo Brothers, Ghoul School, and Reluctant Werewolf, and even the James Gunn movie, because they were poking fun of his unpopularity, but the show's Scrappy is unbearable. He just is. Even when Don Messick came in and gave him a better voice, the character was just obnoxiously all over the show. Like he is less cringe and less making fart jokes. Yeah, Scrappy is better than Teen Titans Go by far, but that's not a good comparison either. Like, Kat, what do you think about Bellos versus Mum-Ra, since it looks cool to see it, or lame? It would be pretty cool, but I'm sure Mum-Ra will win because he's the ever-living. I do like the idea Scrappy solves the problems with your fist. Yeah, unfortunately, he was too weak to actually beat up the monsters because they were always huge, jacked guys lumbering over him. I miss the days when you could have a Marvel DC crossover could exist in the same universe. Unfortunately, copyright destroyed those days. And I remember that they made an episode where everyone thought Daphne was a vampire, but it's not. But imagine the fan stories. That one was an interesting episode. Unfortunately, they have not given a remaster of the animation of this show because Warner Brothers is re-airing this show, but I think they're ashamed of giving it an anniversary special. Okay. Like, who's annoying, Hootie or Scrappy? If we're talking TV show, Scrappy, definitely him. Was Scrappy really that annoying? Heck, DW from Arthur, Horrid Henry, Parents Caillou, Ronaldo from Steven Universe, and Skibbity Toilet is much worse than Scrappy-Doo. I agree, but Scrappy just kicked everyone else to the curb to make the show about himself. That's why he was hated. Like no Scrappy-Doo plush? That is weird. The new Scooby-Doo Mysteries had a groovy opening tune. In fact, when it was broadcasted in Brazil, we didn't have the lyrics in the opening, just the instrumental. Yeah, that theme song is good. This is the Scooby and Scrappy show now. But to wrap up, the show has some good moments. I would suggest watching the first season to see if it's your thing. Second season is where it lost a lot of people. There's some funny misadventures there and some goofy moments that do work, but then came the third season where it was Scrappy and Yabba-Doo, and by that I was out. It wasn't even a Scooby-Doo show anymore. They were shilling Scrappy and giving a whole new show the Scooby-Doo time slot. Yeah, this one, going on to see, it is much better than some of these later entries, but yeah, it's a C-tier show. Do not recommend it. Just watch first season if you're curious, but everything after that gets really weird. I will admit that I do love Ghoul School, Reluctant Werewolf, and the Ghost movie, but it's because they had plenty of things they did that actually focused on making Scrappy-Doo was completely in the background. I like Scrappy-Doo became the smart one in the Boo Brothers movie and Ghoul School. He was solving the mysteries, and his personality was much better when he was bantering off the crazier characters in those movies. Like Scooby-Doo went to Wonderland and Daphne Blake was dressed as Alice. No, this episode happened when they got rid of Daphne, Fred, and Velma. No, Scooby-Doo was Alice. The Phantom of the Opera isn't even a monster. That's what made it funny. I use that in quotes. I like that the episode with the goons foreshadowed Chad, Shaggy, and Scooby Phantom Sore. Of course, what people remember of this series is how the monsters were real when Scrappy was along. Yeah, there were real monsters in the second season, and I believe the third, but the third was mostly them fighting actual criminals. Oh, I didn't know, like, they got rid of half the Scooby Gang. Also, the monsters are real, but it's more fantasy and sci-fi elements. Well, I would say it's more of a whimsical comedy that feel out there, like, if not Scooby-Doo anymore. Yeah, Scooby-Doo met a bunch of real ghosts, real witches, and aliens actually abduct them in this show. It was really bizarre. Yeah, Scrappy was hated because the studio got rid of the other cast members to shill Scrappy as the face of the franchise. That's why he was so hated. Like, who is Western Scooby? Like, I hope we don't get Darkstalkers Scooby-Doo. Yeah, John Tailbane already fills that role. Yawa. I'm indifferent to Scrappy, but Velma show, not the character from that franchise I despise. Absolutely, everyone does. Like, okay, fine, I will also admit that I would rather watch the Scrappy-Doo show instead of Teen Titans Go any given day. Why do you have to bring up that kryptonite? Since Scrappy-Doo was played by Rexplode in Invincible, he was? I didn't know that. The part that Scrappy has taken over the Scooby-Doo franchise I don't know about. Yeah, Scrappy-Doo was the main face of the franchise. The show isn't on here, but this show got repurposed into Scrappy and Yabba-Doo. Yabba-Doo was this Sheriff Scooby-Doo who lived in Texas, and he replaced Uncle Scooby. They replaced Shaggy and Scooby-Doo just to shill Scrappy. That is why the character was hated. Like, it's a shame. Anything is better than Teen Titans Go. Exactly, Akira. Except for Velma. I'll give you that. Velma is worse than Teen Titans Go. Okay, the problem wasn't Scrappy. The problem was getting rid of the characters. adding out their concept like fantasy logic and real monsters to the point it wasn't even Scooby-Doo anymore. Yeah, that really showed by the final season of this entry. Also, people want Scooby-Doo versus the dog from Duck Hunt. Scooby-Doo wins. Cute jokes about how Daphne can take a bite out of us. Lol. Yeah, don't worry, I don't bite. Does she? Remember that episode? It's on here. Okay, to wrap up, yeah, this show's C tier. It has gotten a little better with time, but not by much. Scrappy-Doo's hate-dom is now understandable in my eyes. It's going on to C, but we will get to much worse shows later. Alright. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, looking for you. Woo! Scooby-Doo, where are you? The new Scooby and Scrappy-Doo show / Scooby-Doo Mysteries. This one actually might go on to B tier. So, after the ratings plummeted thanks to Scrappy, surprise, they made another attempted revival of the show, the new Scooby and Scrappy-Doo Mysteries / show. And this one, they brought Daphne back into the gang because they needed characters to appeal to the little girls in the audience, though I also theorized they wanted to bring the hot chick back. Yeah, they brought Daphne because boys crushed on her, and girls had a strong independent female character to look up to. Yeah, so out of nowhere, Daphne comes back, and Daphne, Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy become reporters / private investigators. We're back to solving mysteries, except half the mysteries are criminals behind a costume, and half of them are real. Yeah, kind of getting the best of both worlds. So this show, it's actually hilarious. I do laugh a lot at it. It does have a lot of crazy fantasy elements and out there adventures, but it's actually funny. It is much funnier than the Scooby and Scrappy-Doo show, and Daphne coming back, definitely a good thing. Daphne got to have a lot more character here. This is where we get strong, independent Daphne. I believe she gets like a Kill Bill outfit in one of the later seasons, but yeah, they're kind of reporters / private investigators, solving mysteries, and getting into a ton of insane hijinks. Fred and Velma kind of come back. They guest star in a few episodes, but honestly, the show is actually really fun. The theme song really kicks ass. Not the first one. The first 13 episodes had a really generic theme. The weird Michael Jackson Thriller-inspired theme is in this show. You might see it at the end of my Night of the Living Do review. I really like the theme song in this. It is really trippy. Catch up on comments. Scooby-Doo versus Duck Hunt Dog. Like, it was fine. Okay, agree. Yabba-Doo is cool. Really, Kevin, you liked Yabba-Doo? I just didn't like him because he replaced Scooby, and honestly, I was really bored watching his season. Yeah, Ghoul School is cool. Okay, KO made a cameo of all the girls, but no Scooby-Doo and Shaggy mentioned. Or Scrappy, he was there too. I don't like the way they made the female vampire in Ghoul School seductive. Isn't she 12? Well, technically, Monica, vampires live for 1,000 years, so I guess they were teasing that she was a lot older, but yeah, pretty weird that this minor girl acts sexy. They call them prostitutes, Monica. In fact, there was an episode where it predicted the reluctant werewolf. Yeah, that did happen. So who is the Darkstalkers version of Daphne Blake? Is it Felicia or Morgan? I love Felicia, but I might have to go with Morgan because Morgan's more of a fashionista like Daphne is, and a total rich party girl. Yeah, I think Velma's not Felicia, but she's definitely Hasinko. Yabba-Doo is Scooby-Doo's older brother. Okay, thank you, Kevin. I forgot that. I just didn't care. So Scrappy was in Velma before the... yeah, Scrappy was Velma before the Velma show. Yeah, pretty much. That's why he was hated. If memory serves, Scooby and Scrappy were paired up with Richie Rich. That was kind of a weird era. I'm not counting that one, though, because it's kind of under the Scooby and Scrappy era. Like, finally get Daphne Blake in the team, like, get Fred. Fred was in trapping camp at the time. Yeah, that was canon. Like the era of badass Daphne Blake. Yeah, Daphne's a badass. Unfortunately, in the first 2 seasons, she's still kind of danger-prone, damsel in distress Daphne. I remember Daphne got taken hostage in one episode, and we get, like, a lot of sexy Daphne in this show, so that's why it kind of won a few points. Unfortunately, Scrappy-Doo is still around. He's still getting shilled, which is why it loses some points. I do remember a lot of episodes praise and hype Scrappy. Like, Scrappy's a D&D master. Scrappy's a pro hacker. Everyone cheers Scrappy on for doing the simplest thing right. Yeah, that's kind of why it's a few pegs down. Though, they do confirm the Scooby Gang are now officially adults. They go to, like, their high school reunion. They all have jobs. Velma's, like, working for NASA and the government. Fred is, like, an actual official detective, I believe. And we know Shaggy, Daphne, and Scooby and Scrappy are all, like, reporters. They're actually, like, working jobs, and Scooby-Doo is now, like, a famous hero among the populace. People know Scooby. People know he's a hero. He solved mysteries. Oh yeah, Scooby-Doo versus the Red Skull. Yeah, that actually is an episode in this show. Get a lot of sexy Daphne in this one. Daphne's like wearing a lot of hot dresses. At one point in one of my favorite episodes, she's like taken by this crazy jungle man, and Daphne's put in like a sexy jungle outfit. It was really weird, and the animators were not hiding their love for this character. But hey, as a boy, I really appreciate it. So, a lot of insane schemes. We meet more of Scooby's family, and there are some supernatural elements that are real. We do see real ghosts, real supernatural things, actual zombies at one point. The show got really crazy. Believe it or not, this show was actually penned by Tom Ruegger and Paul Dini. Yes, Tom Ruegger and Paul Dini worked on this show in the very early stages of their career. And you could tell because there's a lot of Tiny Toons-esque humor here and there, a lot of meta references to Scooby-Doo, and in Paul Dini's episode, the villainess looks like Zatanna. Yeah, I see you really liked this character even back then, Paul. Yeah, badass Daphne Blake. She was really cool on this show. The Felicity Smoke thing is over-dramatized, though she should have been with someone else, and Laurel and Dinah should have been with Green Arrow. Yeah, absolutely, that was the biggest problem. But the Ray part is just horrible writing with good potential. Unfortunately, got worse as the Arrowverse went on. I would not say Scrappy-Doo is the worst Scooby-Doo character. Yeah, Mindy Kaling's Velma stole that title. That would go to the robot butler from Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue, the film director from Returns to Zombie Island, and the whole cast from Velma. Like Daphne Blake's outfit was a jumpsuit. Yeah, but I think that came in the 13 Ghosts. Like is funny, Daphne Blake was a badass before Buffy existed. Yeah, to the point where Buffy would play her. The show also had some infamous episodes where Daphne wore black shoes instead of purple shoes. I think that might have been an animation error. I do like the comedy in this show a lot. This one got really crazy, and we know Tom Ruegger's actually funny because he made Tiny Toons and Animaniacs, and we know Paul Dini's actually talented because he made the DCAU. So Scrappy is an early Gary Stu, except he fails a lot. Yeah, that was one of the reasons, Bat Kid. Okay, so that's where that joke in the movie about her always getting captured came from. I was always like, did that really happen that much? Not in the main show. We do see her captured a few times. In this show, we get a lot of damsel Daphne in this one. Daphne's like dressed as like a sexy cave woman and held hostage in a cage. Daphne's held hostage in a James Bond laser trap. Daphne gets held hostage by aliens and zombies at a few points. Yeah, Daphne usually got captured so the boys would fumble their way into saving the day. Okay, so that's where that joke in the movie came from. Yep. Like Daphne O'Blake before April O'Neil. Yeah, though I kind of prefer April O'Neil. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo trying to stop the Red Skull. I wonder where was Captain America when... and shake their hand after they defeat the Red Skull. Yeah, they fight the Red Skull. The Red Skull wants to kill Scooby-Doo and Fred. Like, wow. Yeah, they say just shouldn't have had her Ray Skywalker at the end. It would shouldn't have had her say Skywalker at the end. It would have been better if she just had said silent reflection moment, and then they said just Ray again this time, at peace with who she is. Yeah, too bad that didn't happen. Okay, so this show pretty dumb fun. I do enjoy it. It's got some stupid moments, but a really funny kind of stupid moments. Daphne is badass in this show. Really like her. The Scooby Gang are actually interesting here. We actually dive more into their characters. I like the outlandish scenarios they're placed in this show, and they do return to the Scooby-Doo formula slightly here. So it does get some points. Plus that theme song, really killer. It still holds up. Is it a great Scooby-Doo show? Compared to these top dogs, sadly no, but I will give it a B grade. I like the new Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo mysteries. It is an interesting entry in this franchise, but still not one of the best. But hey, they actually made a good Scrappy show. Why does Daphne getting captured a lot reminds me of Totally Spies? Well, that's what made it a good show. Sorry, my childhood spirit is trying to make me blush for Daphne. We all loved Daphne. Girls look up to her, boys crushed on her, and I'm sure lesbians had an awakening with her more than Velma. Okay, so tragically, this was the last OG timeline Scooby-Doo story because the show did not do well. So after that, they hit the full-blown reset button and made Scooby-Dooby, Scooby-Dooby, a pup named Scooby-Doo. Yeah, a pup named Scooby-Doo, the prequel show about the younger years of the Scooby Gang. Scooby and the gang are all children, and they solve mysteries, but in their younger years with a lot more of a cartoonier edge. This one, going on to S tier. Yep, I rewatched A Pup Named Scooby-Doo for a tier list, and it's hilarious. This is one of the funniest Scooby-Doo cartoons ever made. Ordinarily, doing prequel baby spin-off shows do not work. They usually epic fail, but A Pup Named Scooby-Doo came along and really won a lot of people over. So, for one thing, they kept Paul Dini and Tom Ruger, who actually did good work on the new Scooby-Doo show, and they wrote this one, a much more child-friendly Scooby-Doo show. The gang are solving mysteries, but a lot of the monsters are more cartoon supervillains. A lot of crazier monsters in this one, a lot of cartoonier hijinks, and of course the classic new addition, Red Herring. Yeah, this show, I like it. It's enjoyable, it's entertaining, it is dumb fun of the greatest, highest order. I never watched this show, sorry. Monica, you're missing out. Among the many, many kid version TV shows, one of my faves, Scooby-Dooby, Scooby-Dooby, Scooby-Doo, where are you? Scooby-Doo. Catch up on comments, sorry guys. Agree, yeah, we all love Daphne. The Savage Bear agrees since I am a Clover crush. Oh, you like Clover? I prefer Alex. I heard before episode 8, Rey was supposed to be the granddaughter of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which makes more sense than frickin' Emperor Palpatine's grandchild. Yeah, it did, but unfortunately, Disney is stupid. My childhood. That's not what I meant, Kira, and I remember young Daphne actress plays Batgirl in Batman 2005. Was that her? I don't think it was her. Of course, this is all because of Red Herring. Hey, Jones, I wasn't even in this episode. Yeah, Scott Menville voices Red Herring, and hilariously, I bring this up because Scott would voice Shaggy on Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue. Yeah, Red Herring would voice Shaggy in this cartoon. Tragically, it would be the last time because it was one of the most hated Scooby cartoons of all time. One of my faves, this is the best show of our characters being kids, among the many, many kid version TV shows. Never watched this show, sorry. You're missing out, Monica. A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, it is hilarious. We see kind of the origin of how Scooby-Doo's tropes and cliches start. We meet young versions of Fred, Daphne, Velma, and Shaggy. Casey Kasem and Don Messick are the only voice actors who come back. Technically, Frank Welker and BJ Ward also come in this show, but they're playing relatives of the main cast. Yeah, they got actual children to be Fred, Daphne, and Velma. Daphne has a lot more personality. Fred is like this weird kid. He's a hilarious conspiracy nut, but he's really enjoyable. He believes in these weird Dale Gribble style conspiracies and always thinks Red Herring is up to no good. Red Herring's kind of the idiot bully, but he sucks at being an idiot bully. Red Herring's kind of like a one-man Bulk and Skull Squad, but he's really funny. Scott Menville definitely having the time of his life playing this stupid brute character. Daphne is actually rich in this show. It's always been theorized that Daphne comes from a wealthy family. Here, they pretty much confirm it. Daphne has the richest mansion in Coolsville, has an underground subway in her basement, has a lot of the greatest fashion, the greatest things, and her butler Jenkins is always summoned to do her bidding for her. I like Daphne in this show. She's a lot more girly girl, but really hilarious. Velma, a lot more adorable. Velma, not quite shy, but she's kind of the cute, quiet, adorable nerd girl. She's the smallest and youngest of the Scooby Gang. I guess a joke because she always looks shorter than the rest of them. Velma's a lot more adorable, kind of this little kid genius. Reminds me of Lisa Loud from the Loud House, but a lot more quiet and less in your face about it. And Shaggy, this funny hippie kid, Casey Kasem is back as Shaggy, so of course he's funny. Shaggy's a comic book nerd in this version instead of a beatnik, and Don Messick absolutely kills it as a puppy version of Scooby. Scooby's a lot more hyperactive and childish, and it makes him really adorable and hilarious. So basically, it's the standard formula. They're solving mysteries, but facing a lot more outlandish characters, and getting into more Animaniacs / Tiny Toon style comedy. Yeah, Tom Ruegger also worked on this show, and you can really tell he was forming the basis of Tiny Toons through this one. Paul Dini wrote for it. One of the Batman the Animated Series writers also worked on this cartoon. It is a pretty insanely funny cartoon. Though, if there's one negative I have to say, usually it's always predictable who the villain is because 90% of the time, it's either Charlie Adler or Michael Bell. Charlie Adler and Michael Bell voice all the bad guys on this show, and if there's a suspect voiced by them, it's usually that character. I remember they actually did an episode where Charlie Adler had to voice all the side characters, and he does his, like, cow and chicken voice for all of them, because the villain is also voiced by him, so they had to mislead the audience somehow. Yeah, it's usually Charlie Adler, Michael Bell behind every evil mystery, but the show is usually more about the fun, the humor. The characters actually get kind of slice of life stories in this one. Not like anime, but yeah, you can tell they're going for like a slice of life. We're all friends, we all love each other, a character arc where they resolve everything by the end of the episode. That's what kind of made it a lot more fun. My favorite is Alex. Yeah, Alex is my favorite Totally Spy too. Like, it is cool, like, they feel like the red herring joke make me interesting, like, it's a shame the joke died in the past. Yeah, they never brought red herring back outside of cameos. Then it was red herring. Then he showed up or sent a message saying it wasn't me. I wasn't in the episode, then leaving. That's what made it kind of funny. Red herring gets accused in every episode. If Scott Menville wasn't in it, they usually had him, like, write a letter saying he wasn't there. And calling Fred Jones a weenie. Okay, like remember young Daphne meets Bruce Wayne as a child in the comics? Oh, they did? Okay, I have to read that now. Basically Nelson before The Simpsons. Yeah, kind of. Though I do kind of get a lot of Bulk and Skull from him too, because if Red Herring ever bullied the Scooby Gang, usually karma hit him instantly. They'd all laugh at him and his unhappiness, and he'd also have the catchphrase, "That's not very funny," walking off in shame and defeat. Yeah, that's what kind of made Red funny. He never got away with being a dick, so usually karma would always hit him and he'd suffer comedic antics, not always Fred annoying him. And Daphne as mayor is cooler than Chloe? Well, absolutely. I didn't watch the show because none of the monsters are scary, like the San Francisco, Space Kook, Phantom Virus, Yowie Yahoo. I didn't find the Yowie Yahoo scary either. Green Ghosts, the Green Mutants, and the Goblin King. Jareth, dance, magic, dance, 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 magic, dance. And What's New Scooby-Doo is canon to a pup named Scooby-Doo. Yeah, it was so hilarious. They actually drew the characters like a pup named Scooby-Doo style. So, a pup named Scooby-Doo goes for a more cartoonish style. It looks like the Scooby characters in a Tiny Toons or Animaniacs episode, because Tom Ruegger worked on all these shows. And the villains feel more like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers era villains. Kind of, to an extent. Okay, yeah. Okay, so, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, it is just a ton of fun. I know it's a lot more child-friendly, but you can tell the staff and the cast were having so much fun working on this show. They actually threw in effort. They tried to deliver a horror comedy rather than a horror mystery, and I think they succeeded greatly. I have so much fun watching this show. I rewatched it because you guys wanted me to rank the villains. Go check that tier list out. And yeah, it's still a good show. It is going on to S tier. A pup named Scooby-Dooby-Doo is still great after all this time later. Easily one of the best prequels of all time. Take that, Phantom Menace. So I see it as a guilty pleasure and kind of fine with it. Missed out on many of not seeing every episode of A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, unfortunately, but the ones I remember are fun. It's a fun little prequel-ish kind of show. Yeah, much better than Attack of the Clones. Okay, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, gone on to S tier. So, what came after that? I remember they started doing the movies a lot more. If I recall it, we should be on... What's New Scooby-Doo? We're coming after you. Gonna solve that mystery. I see you, Scooby-Doo. The trail leads back to you. What's New Scooby-Doo? Yeah, this one going on to S tier. I love What's New Scooby-Doo. This is a great cartoon. This is the first Scooby-Doo show I actually saw when it was airing new episodes back on the old Kids WB. Yeah, remember that block? What's New Scooby-Doo? It is great. It is fantastic. It is a love letter to everything Scooby-Doo alongside Mystery Incorporated, but that comes later. What's New Scooby-Doo? Great show. It is S tier. It is easily my top 3 favorite Scooby-Doo shows of all time. So you know it's up here highly, and it deserves it. Yeah, What's New is great. What's New Scooby-Doo? That was amazing. This was also the only Scooby-Doo series to have to not have Fred voiced by Frank Welker. Yeah, but they also didn't get B.J. Ward back as Velma. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, Frank Welker and B.J. Ward cameo, Casey Kasem and Don Messick are still Shaggy and Scooby, but Frank Welker is Fred's uncle, and I believe his dad in one scene. B.J. Ward, who voices Velma, is hilariously Velma's auntie, and also Shaggy's mom. Yeah, What's New is great. I also have a new kitten. His name is Jax because he's going too soon, so I named him Jax. So he will be with me in spirit forever. I'm not coping. I'm totally fine. Okay, Monica. R.I.P. Jax. Na 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 na. I see you, Scooby-Doo. The trail leads back to you. What's New Scooby-Doo? Me too, I was hooked on that. Yeah, the theme song by... what was their band? I'm trying to remember now. Okay, so the theme song, really kick-ass. It is fun. It is cool. I don't think it was Smash Mouth. I think it was that other band. I'm just not remembering. But What's New Scooby-Doo? It is awesome. And you know why it's awesome? Because of one simple thing. What's New Scooby-Doo is basically the old cartoon with a much bigger budget and in the modern day. Yeah, it's literally Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Set in modern day. It is a modernized version of the classic Scooby-Doo show. The Scooby Gang do what they do best. They're traveling around the world solving mysteries, but they have a much bigger budget, much better animation, much more nuanced and layered writing, and it's set in our modern day. That's why this cartoon works so well and still holds up after all this time. What's New Scooby-Doo pretty much revived Scooby-Doo for a whole new generation. My generation to be specific, along with Mystery Incorporated, but that's what makes it so perfect. It's literally exactly like Scooby-Doo, but still continuing in our modern time period. The gang have updated designs, minus Scooby, who looks the same in everything, but yeah. They brought back Casey Kasem as Shaggy. Yeah, I know he sounds a bit older, but Casey Kasem still has a lot of funny moments here. Gray DeLille as Daphne, definitely one of the greatest voices of Daphne Blake. Mindy Kahn's Velma became an instant fan favorite, and Frank Welker finally comes back as Fred in a Scooby-Doo show. Frank Welker was in the Zombie Island movie. He came back like years later, and they decided to keep using him as the iconic Fred. Frank Welker also takes over as Scooby-Doo in this show onward. Yeah, this is the show which started Frank Welker voicing Scooby-Doo, and I think he does pretty good. Yeah, Don Messick is easily a classic, but Frank Welker Yeah, he's pretty much our generation Scooby. We grew up with him. He does the voice very well, and Scooby's still absolutely hilarious even in our modern time period. A lot of classic monsters in this show. The San Fran Psycho, the Snow Monster, the evil Gremlin. I do like the weird Osomon. Yeah, somebody corrected me on that. The Pokemon parody slash critters, the Osomon, are pretty good. I like the Gargoyle. I think the Gargoyle's an underrated one. My favorite episode, easily the one where they go to Paris to face the Gargoyle. We see Daphne and her model cousin. Love Grey DeLisle as Daphne. She is definitely the most iconic Daphne Blake now. And, oh, how could we forget the Space Alien? The Space Alien was legit a creepy episode to me, and the Lighthouse Keeper I did find really cool design-wise. Thank you, Simple Plan was the band. Thank you, I forgot. Simple Plan. That was Simple Plan, which, yeah, they guest starred in the Invisible Madman episode. Simple Plan, yeah, everybody's correcting me. Yeah, sorry, I brain farted, okay? And let's not forget Red Herring. Like, What's New Scooby-Doo is my favorite. That belly dancer kimono Daphne Blake is hot, since Velma is more of a big sister than a crush for me. Yeah, so the Scooby Gang are adults in this show. They're not meddling kids. They are like 20-somethings in this one, but I kind of like that more because they got into a lot more crazier situations. Weirdly, Fred and Daphne do not have a romance here, so they allowed Daphne and Velma to be a lot more sexualized. Don't worry, ladies, Fred also takes off his shirt and gets into funny scenarios too. Yeah, we get to see actual sexy versions of the Mystery Inc. gang, which I really appreciate. Daphne definitely became a lot of people's crush in this cartoon, though Velma also got a lot curvier here. She wasn't slightly overweight, her sweater showed off her boobs more, and Fred takes off his shirt a lot, gets into a lot of physical acts. We get Chad Fred in this show. Yeah, I know Mystery Incorporated Fred was also really cool, but this one definitely had a more badass version of Fred, and Shaggy and Scooby still hilarious, still doing their wacky shtick, and it still works all these years later. This one also connected to a ton of the What's New era movies. After the classic Core 4 Scooby-Doo movies became a huge success, they decided to make more Scooby-Doo films, and many of them were set in the What's New verse. This lasted, I believe, all the way to like 2008 or 2009. Then they updated to the Mystery Incorporated designs. Then after Mystery Incorporated ended, they upgraded to the Scooby-Doo and Guess Who designs. Yeah, Daphne definitely became a lot of people's crush in this show. A pup named Scooby-Doo did a better prequel origin story than Velma. Yeah, absolutely. Which tried to be an origin story, but the Scooby-Doo cast failed. Yeah, even The Mystery Begins was better than Velma. A lot of very creative villains, and the voice cast is great as always. Yeah, we see the start of a lot of voice actors we know and love appeared in the show. A lot of the Scooby-Doo characters, we actually have some guest stars, but we see a lot of voice actors we know today got their start on this show, or at least guest starred in here to expand their range. Okay, so the Scooby-Doo cast, they are voiced greatly. Frank Welker, Mindy Kahn, the great Casey Kasem, and Grey DeLisle as Daphne. We all love her. Though we actually see a lot of voice actors we know and love actually appeared on this show too. Like Tom Kenny, Nika Futterman, a young Steve Bloom, and D. Bradley Baker. I recognized him as the ghost clown, and the guy from Seinfeld. I'm trying to remember. It wasn't one of the main characters. Like, I think Elaine's boss from Seinfeld was in this show, and we see a lot of celebrity parodies like Cougar Forrest, and I think Miley Cyrus also got referenced. A lot of crazy villains and adventures in this one, and a lot of really trippy designs. I like the villains in this show. They raised the bar for what Scooby-Doo villains could do. A lot more cybernetics, special effects, mechanical engineering, and the Mystery Machine coming alive was definitely a crazy one. We had a lot of fun with this show. Sadly, it did not get a really unique series finale. The last one was the Gamer E3 Con. That one was definitely a fun episode, but I think the show deserved a more proper finale. What's New Scooby-Doo tragically got canceled too soon, and unlike Mystery Incorporated, it did not really get a true finale, but I think the Crazy Critters parody, definitely a fun one to end on. Yeah, thank you. Simple plan. I see everyone telling me simple plan. I have my cat named Oliver like he's a tuxedo cat. Ah, like Sylvester. Yeah, simple plan. I do know they guest starred in an episode, the Invisible Madman episode. That one was also pretty cool. Though unfortunately, I don't think Simple Plan was that great as voice actors. I grew up watching a pup named Scooby-Doo on Boomerang when at my mom's friend's house. Yeah, I saw it on Boomerang too, though Cartoon Network did briefly rerun it. Yeah, Simple Plan. It's so cool and awesome, and the jokes are funny. Yeah, when the Scooby-Doo mystery machine gets stolen, what would we ever do without our mystery machine? Like, get a mystery SUV? That one made my brother Wolf laugh hard. Yeah, Simple Plan was the band. Yeah, and a lot of meta jokes about Scooby-Doo, too. Was Sarah Michelle Gellar too busy? Yeah, the Valentine's Day episode. One of the weirdest holiday specials, but kind of hilarious. Yeah, if I had to pick a favorite episode, I love the one where they go to France and face the gargoyle. Though the Valentine's Day one, that one's a close second, where there's an evil Scooby-Doo gang running around terrorizing Coolsville, and it was JC Chavez the whole time. That one was a really weird one, but a funny weird. Yeah, they got rid of Fred's ascot. I was fine with that design. The ascot didn't ruin it for me. And I can't get enough of Daphne Blake dressed as Catwoman. Yeah, really funny. Daphne cosplayed as a Catgirl, and Grey DeLisle would go on to be the best Catwoman in Arkham City. My favorite is the tech house. Yeah, when they're at the fair, the House of Mystery, and the house is really like an AI. Also, the Lighthouse Keeper has a Lego set. It had like a whole Lego episode they parodied. I can imagine the Saja boys in place of Simple Plan in the show. Like Fred does an Elvis impression is cringe that Mystery Inc. gives him the trap obsession. Yeah, she could never held a candle to Daphne, of course, but I never really saw Velma as a crush figure. Till recent, minus the abomination that bears her name, obviously. Yeah, some people crush on Daphne, some crush on Velma. I think Mindy Kahn's Velma, maybe BJ Ward's Velma too. BJ Ward's Velma was more cute. This version of Velma, they tried to make her hotter, and hilariously, Alvin Kibbe, the recurring character, the guy who's voiced by Mandark, has a total crush on Velma. Hey Velma, great to see you here. What are you doing here, Velma? Are you admiring my work? Yeah, it's hilarious seeing Mandark on Scooby-Doo. Well, when the criminals are way older than them, the line meddling kids line still makes sense. Yeah, it does. It does. I love the What's New era movies. I like some of them. Some I did not. The Monster of Mexico I do not like anymore. I think it was one of their weaker movies. Legend of the Vampire, some people count it as What's New, some people don't because Heather North voices Daphne, but they still use the What's New animation, which confused a lot of fans. I thought the Legend of Vampire was also dumb fun. The highlight though was that they brought the Hex Girls back. Scooby-Doo and the Mummy too, I thought it was alright. I like Egypt and mummy monsters, but the story wasn't anything too special. And I never saw The Goblin King, so insert King Jareth meme here. Yeah, you like the samurai sword, the ghost of Bishaman. Favorite was Where's My Mummy? Okay, good for you, Yara. Tried to like it, I thought it was alright. Also, I hear Death by Bloom from Death Battle music of Ruby vs. Maka. The show also did a promotion where, after the villain was defeated, instead of showing the unmasking, they cut off abruptly and wait until tomorrow's episode where fans can go online and pick the villain. I do remember that. I think it kind of ruined a lot of episodes, though. Yeah, there was this brief thing where you could cast your vote over who the Scooby monster ended up being, who do you think it is, and they would abruptly cut off the episode and not show you who it was until next time the channel would come back on. And I ended up missing a lot of these. This is before the internet and before DVR, so I couldn't rewatch the episodes. It kind of made me stop watching What's New for a while, until it came back on Cartoon Network. With the proper ending to boot. You're my soda pop, my little soda pop. Okay. The show also referenced a pup named Scooby-Doo and Velma fearing clowns because of the Shredder. Yeah, a pup named Scooby-Doo is canon thanks to What's New, which would get weirder once Mystery Incorporated happened, but yeah. The evil killer clown episode, they're at a golf course, and Velma is triggered by this evil cybernetic clown, and we see how she got her phobia of clown performers, and we see a pup named Scooby-Doo. It's canon. They actually recreate the animation very well, I might add, and show a young Velma. She got her new birthday present shredded by a clown voiced by Tom Kenny. Tom Kenny, like, threw her great encyclopedia into his shredder to make it snow, and this completely ruined Velma's birthday and made her cry. And Velma has had a fear of clowns since, and the episode revolves around her actually switching places with Shaggy. Now Shaggy is the brave one trying to solve the mystery, while Velma's the scaredy cat who has to overcome her fear. Yeah, that's also another factor of why I like What's New Scooby-Doo. They actually poke fun of their formula and try to spice it up a lot. Like, the characters reverse roles. Some characters do more than others. We get to see, like, the Scooby Gang members swap roles they usually have. We see a lot of different personality and sides that we never seen to the gang before. It's honestly very creative, and I do like the meta winks and jokes about the Scooby-Doo franchise. I think that's what made What's New Scooby-Doo fun for even the adults in the audience watching it. My favorite episode depends on the monster. Yeah, kinda does. And it was cool, like, okay, What's New Scooby-Doo is cool. Question for House, what do you think of the tech house from What's New Scooby-Doo? Boring. I would not go out by a logic bomb. That's for losers. Well, there you have it. They actually had a funny teaser why Fred get rid of the ascot because he thought it was getting he thought he was getting complimented by his ascot, but they called him a dork instead, and the gang find it thinking it's a clue. My favorite monster from What's New Scooby-Doo probably be the giant robot clown. Yeah, D. Bradley Baker voices the clown, because it combines three fears: giant animatronics and clowns. That makes sense. Where's My Mummy, The Goblin King, and The Samurai Sword is my favorite movies from What's New. I never saw The Goblin King. I heard it's the last What's New era movie. That or Samurai Sword. This one had Frank voice Kid Fred. Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, Frank Welker, his voice coming out of a pup named Scooby-Doo Fred. That was also really weird. Okay, I didn't know there was a cast of online vote of who could the monster be until now. Yeah, that was a thing they did when it was back on Kids WB. They kind of patched this now by just making the episode with the ending that was supposed to happen. And yeah, that became like kind of the canon for it. Yeah, you can get the full episodes now. Like, okay. Okay, so, yeah, you all know What's New Scooby-Doo. It's awesome. I love it. The best designs, the best animation. A lot of fun to be had with this show. It is easily a classic for the Scooby-Doo franchise, so it's going on to S tier. What's new, Scooby-Doo? Well, nothing. You're still top dog. So after What's New came your favorite Mystery Incorporated. Yes, let's do it. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. I know some people might argue we should save it for last, but what the heck, we'll do it now. Mystery Incorporated, yeah, it's going on S tier, and it's number 1. Was there really any doubt? I recently did a tier list talking all about all the classic monsters and even some of the episode plots, but yeah, I agree. Mystery Incorporated, it rocks. It's awesome. It is a fantastic Scooby-Doo show. Exactly like Zombie Island, this one tried to take Scooby-Doo in a serious direction. There are still funny moments, funny jokes and such, and lightheartedness, but this Scooby-Doo show tried to experiment with a dark, dead serious, serialized mystery arc. Scooby-Doo kind of does Gravity Falls and Twin Peaks. There's this looming mystery happening in their town, not Coolsville, but instead Crystal Cove. We follow the Scooby Gang in their daily lives for once, while they're still in high school, and there's a dark, cosmic, grand stakes level mystery of an evil cosmic entity, kind of like Pennywise, living underneath their town, and the Scooby Gang find out what the dark secret of their town is, find out there's this looming threat, this grand mystery, and must stop the end of the world. Yes, the Scooby Gang must stop the end of the world. An evil entity known as Nibiru is trapped in a sarcophagus underneath Crystal Cove, and it's trying to escape. The entity has been corrupting everyone in the show, everyone around their neighborhood, and actually influencing people into becoming these evil monsters, like giving into their dark desires, their evil, twisted, villainous end goals, and doing whatever it takes to basically achieve their success. And ultimately, the Scooby Gang stumble across this very, very dark and dead serious mystery that forces are trying to release the Nibiru entity, but doing so will cause the end of the world. They find out they're not the primary Mystery Incorporated gang. There's 1,000 mystery-solving teens around the world. Yeah, there's like multiple Mystery Incorporateds, and they find out that their old Mystery Incorporated mysteriously disappeared while trying to crack this case themselves, and they're picking up the pieces and trying to be the ones to solve it. It turns out the old Mystery Incorporated is still alive, however, their group broke apart, and all of them essentially became villains. There's like mysterious characters like Cassidy Williams, Mr. E, and of course, Professor Pericles. Pericles is kind of the primary villain. He's the one who gets set up in season 1, and he's behind the scenes pulling a ton of strings, trying to open up the Nibiru cave. The most unique series, absolutely. Have you done Mystery Incorporated yet? I did do a tier list on all the villains. Sorry, Moonwing, that we already talked about that. I thought you were there. Okay. I didn't know there was. Yeah, there was. Like, okay. Mystery Incorporated, yeah, we're on that one now. If you're curious, I did do a tier list on all the villains. I like a lot of the show. The show is really good. I think there's like only one bad episode, but it's more of a meh episode than anything. What's my favorite story from Mystery Incorporated? That is really hard because there's so many good ones. I will say I do like the Man Crab episode, mostly because we see sexy Daphne, but I do like the finale, Come Undone. Recently watched that like yesterday or this morning. Come Undone, really kick-ass finale. The Scooby-Doo gang fight the evil cosmic entity and his forces from hell. It is a really crazy show. And exactly like What's New, but what puts it above it is Mystery Incorporated is a love letter for everything Scooby. They reference all the old shows. The Luna Ghost is like an exhibit there. They do confirm Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? And the 13 Ghosts actually happen. They reference everything, and I mean everything Scooby-Doo is paid tribute to in this show. We see like cameos from the old villain suits, characters from the Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe appear here and there. Some characters like the Blue Falcon and Dynamite cross over with Scooby-Doo. There's like a character who even looks like Don Knotts in the background. A lot of love for everything cartoons, especially Scooby-Doo. M. Bison, yes! Yes! Like it's number 2 in my Scooby-Doo TV show tier list. Oh, what's number 1, Akira? M. Bison, yes! Okay, so Mystery Incorporated's number 1 because it had a very satisfying story arc. Over the course of the series, they encounter a lot of reoccurring villains. We find out there's this mysterious watcher named Mr. E. Professor Pericles is set up. There's a villain called the Freak who broke apart the original Mystery Incorporated gang, and they find pieces of the planispheric disc. Throughout the first 2 seasons, they have to assemble pieces of this planispheric disc to create a key to unlock their way into the Temple of Nibiru. They find clues to defeat the obstacles to get to him. Nibiru was actually trapped here by aliens. He was sealed away because he was an evil entity, and he's trying to break free, spending millennia trying to corrupt future people to release him. That is the curse of Crystal Cove. That releasing this monster will destroy everything. However, Nibiru is basically tempting them because there's treasure. His sarcophagus is made out of solid crystal. He has like a lot of gold the conquistadors had, and it's luring these fools into releasing him. Professor Pericles unites his old team to try to kill the current gen of Mystery Incorporated. He and Mr. E fix their friendship. They recruit Brad and Judy. Fred finds out his dad wasn't really his dad. A lot of really insane dramatic storytelling in this one. Yep, The GOAT show. I was blown away by Mystery Incorporated. Me too. I actually didn't think it was gonna be good. I watched the first episode with the slime monster. It was a lot funnier than I expected, but it slowly won me over. Of course, I love Scooby-Doo, so I gave the show a chance, and every episode just got better and better. Though this also has one of the most depressing endings of Scooby-Doo. The season 1 finale, All Fear the Freak. Yeah, if you remember, this caused a lot of childhood pain and trauma. Yes, I am gonna bring it up. The season 1 finale, the Freak of Crystal Cove, is my father, Mayor Jones. Yeah, it turns out the mayor is actually the villain. This is a reference to Buffy the Vampire Slayer, how the mayor of Sunnyvale was actually a primary bad guy, but they make it their own thing. Fred's dad is not really his dad. He abducted him as a baby and used him as a gambling chip to scare off the original Mystery Incorporated team. The Mayor Jones is defeated, however, it's not a true victory. The gang completely breaks apart. Like, Fred has to find himself and find his real parents. He breaks up his engagement with Daphne. Daphne's left depressed and completely betrayed. Velma is kind of a pariah now because she lied to the gang. If she told them the truth earlier, then it could have avoided a lot of this pain. And of course, most infamously, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo are broken apart and sent away. Yeah, screw Shaggy's parents. I think they are worse than Mayor Jones. Shaggy had the worst parents. They like shipped Shaggy off to military school, and Scooby's going to a nice farm. Yeah, they're getting rid of Scooby and Shaggy, and their friendship is broken apart. And to rub salt in the wounds, Professor Pericles shows up, still alive, and reveals he's got 2 of the discs. Yeah, Pericles effectively wins in the end, and he gets away, warning Scooby-Doo to back off, but Scooby-Doo's not gonna break even after all this tragedy. It is actually a pretty hardcore, dark ending. Not gonna lie, it actually really made me depressed as a child, and we had to wait at least half a year to see if this was gonna get a second season. Thank goodness it did, because second season was a million times better than the first. A lot more tension, the supervillains were far more scarier, and the story arc actually made some massive progress. And Daphne got the chocolate obsession. Yeah, that was funny. Like, can you save that clip for a future review? Have to find a moment where chocolate is eaten then. Mystery Incorporated gave the characters more personality and had an ongoing story. Also, the show had references to Twin Peaks. Yeah, the Red Room appears, and the little person, the professor guy, it's the same guy from David Lynch's movie Twin Peaks, which is kind of weird. So I guess Twin Peaks and Mystery Incorporated share a universe. Oh, how can we forget? Harlan Ellison is in here, and Harlan Ellison is like Roland Deschain from the Dark Tower. He knows things. He's traversed many timelines and multiverses. If you don't know, Harlan Ellison wrote for The Twilight Zone, but also famously wrote I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, and he plays himself in this cartoon. Yeah, Scooby-Doo did a better homage to Twin Peaks than the Riverdale. That mess of a CW show, Riverdale. Yeah, we don't talk about that. So, not like the Owl House. The Owl House tried, but I think they kind of lost sight of things in season 3, and it doesn't help that Dana Terrace openly admitted that Disney screwed her over, so they rushed through a lot of plot. Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated is what Velma should have been, a Gravity Falls-like show that still have comedic moments yet have dark and serious story and world building. Yeah, that's what made Mystery Incorporated awesome. Great show, dislike part of the ending. Yeah, so spoilers for the series finale. They fight Nibiru, they gain this super weapon, this MacGuffin known as the Heart of the Jaguar. They find out that the heart is not actually a weapon, it's the gang. The gang's friendship and pureness and nobility actually made the Heart of the Jaguar function as a true super weapon. They fight Nibiru and Scooby-Doo barely saves the day. They stab the monster, break his sarcophagus, which bound him to our mortal world, and Nibiru is killed, but because he was such a powerful cosmic entity, his death retconned the entire timeline Mortal Kombat style. Yeah, Scooby-Doo fixed the timeline and got the golden ending. Everything is happy, all the characters who were dicks are now nice people, and all the bad stuff that happened in Crystal Cove throughout the centuries Never happened. Everyone had happy lives, lived their best happy ending, got all the golden endings from MK, and the Scooby Gang are treated much better by their parents and have much more fulfilling lives and brighter futures. No Johnny Quest crossover. Yeah, that pissed me off. Johnny Quest was there, but never a part of the main show. Yeah, Johnny Quest was there. Quest Labs built Dino Mutt into the Terminator dog he is. Agree. Nibiru is not the name of the entity. Nibiru is a date for the end of the world. They do call him Nibiru anyway. Yeah, choosing a favorite episode Mystery Incorporated is hard. It is very hard. I do like the Man Crab episode from Season 1. I actually do like All Fear the Freak, even with its depressing ending. That's what kind of made it stand out for me. Though the finale, of course, definitely well earned. That is the #1 episode for everyone. Yeah, the worst part of the show, they gave us shipping with Velma and Shaggy. So, Velma and Shaggy were not a healthy couple. They get a romance in the first season and kind of break up before even the halfway point, because Velma is kind of toxic. She's trying to force Shaggy to mold himself into this ideal lover she wants, and Velma doesn't even end up with Shaggy. Velma ends up with Hot Dog Water. Yeah, apparently in the new timeline they're lesbians now, but it's done in a way to neither confirm or deny it. #1 is Mystery Incorporated of the Scooby-Doo TV show. Yeah, it is #1. Sorry, catch up on comments. Season 1 of Mystery Incorporated makes you rethink the whole season because of the twist at the end, but Season 2 makes you rethink the whole Scooby-Doo franchise and universe when the mid-season twist, yeah. Yeah, so they retcon everything the evil entity ever did and ever touched, and basically, they have a happy timeline. However, at the end of the series, in a weird twist ending, they get a message from Harlan Ellison telling him, "I believe in you, I remember what happened, I have foreseen this new timeline," and he recruits the Scooby Gang to come to his university. He, I guess, paid for their admissions and wants the Scooby Gang to come over to him. However, the university is halfway across the country, meaning the Scooby Gang are gonna solve mysteries and go on a road trip the entire time. And this means that Mystery Incorporated is a prequel to Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Yes, for reals, Mystery Incorporated is now officially a prequel to the first ever Scooby-Doo show. Because in the Scooby-Doo Where Are You, they're on a road trip solving mysteries they chance upon, and the show ends with them going on a road trip solving mysteries they chance upon. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but yeah, Mystery Incorporated is now a prequel to Scooby-Doo Where Are You, and I presume what's new, Scooby-Doo. And yet Mayor Jones was still a better father than Fred's real dad, Brad. Yeah, yeah, way better. Though Brad and Judy do become good parents in the new MK timeline. That dumb art guy is the worst. Yeah, the Andy Warhol guy. The episode with Junk, easily my least favorite episode. One is kind of filler. The Andy Warhol guy is just a dick. He's not funny. And he calls Daphne ugly. I know there are more evil, but he's annoying, very full of himself. Yeah, he was. Like the reason there are no live-action Mystery Incorporated because WB canceled it. Yeah, we almost got that. It was free on YouTube. I think it's still free on YouTube. There was gonna be a live-action Mystery Incorporated inspired web show, and Warner Brothers copyright blocked them and prevented them from working on a sequel. Which is a shame. The pilot ended up being so good. I was gonna review it, but probably not now since it's not gonna continue. Yeah, Mayor Jones was a much better dad. Glad he got a happy ending in the finale, too. And when I see Season 1 finale, couldn't the writer think of a better way to end the show? Apparently not. They were kind of doing it to force Cartoon Network to renew them for a second season. That's why the first season finale is so depressing and ends on a massive cliffhanger, and it was a gamble that paid off. They even changed the intro to have Hot Dog Water as the replacement Daphne. That was actually funny. Mayor Jones' reveal he wasn't Fred's father was like a reverse Luke, I'm your father moment, and it ends in a depressing ending. Yeah, but that's what made you kind of remember it. Okay, and still have no R.L. Stine cameo. No, they had H.P. Hatecraft, and they had Harlan Ellison. Yeah, they probably would have succeeded if they had R.L. Stine, but I guess he was too busy doing the Jack Black Goosebumps movie at the time. Evil corpse, dude. Yeah, he died too. I still think that Fred should have gone with Daphne to find his parents, even if they turned out to be crappy. Yeah, they should have, but he didn't want Daphne involved. Agree, sister. Liu Kang, timeline. Yeah, I remember that meme. This show was maybe one of my first cosmic horror experiences. I do remember a lot more cosmic horror. I've seen Stephen King movies, and Goosebumps had some cosmic horror from time to time. Though, I do think, I'm trying to remember, I did watch The Twilight Zone. Yeah, The Twilight Zone also had a lot of cosmic horror. And Daisy, the doctor sister of Daphne Blake, sucks. Yeah, she does. Though, I do like her military sister. The military sister was pretty much just Jennifer Hale doing her femshep persona. Okay, like in Daphne Gets Chocolate Obsession is funny. Yeah, we could use that for a future review, but we gotta find the right moment. Wait, I just remember the next Scooby-Doo wasn't Mystery Incorporated, it was Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue. Yeah, but I wanted people to forget that one. Imagine if every story that had a big, powerful, cosmic, evil, godlike monster ends with everything being reset, which also includes every character. Hot Dog Water times Velma like Hank Hill, and now I'm going to vomit. Yeah, I thought they worked as friends, but Hot Dog Water is voiced by Linda Cardellini from the James Gunn Scooby-Doo movies, and it was basically your Velma on Velma action. Toxic shipping of Shaggy and Velma shouldn't have happened. They should have had a healthy shipping. They should have, but they had an ugly breakup. Cliffhanger, hanging on a cliff, and that's why you're called Cliffhanger. Like Daphne Blake is my muse. Yeah, understandable. Scooby-Doo Mystery is somehow both a sequel and a prequel at the same time. Yeah, so it starts out as a sequel to Scooby-Doo Where Are You?, but after they retcon everything, the museum is gone and they never encountered these monsters, and it ends with them going on the road trip they go on Where Are You?, which, really weird. R.L. Stine should have voiced Hatecraft or at least have a cameo. He should have, but Jeffrey Combs, also pretty funny. In my opinion, Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated is the best Scooby-Doo show. I agree. Idea for a monster, a Nemesis-related monster, a Nemesis from RE3. Awesome, yeah. Alright, so, to wrap up, Mystery Incorporated, it is epic. It is a masterpiece. It is easily in the top 3 best Scooby-Doo shows, and easily my number 1. I know it's early, but don't worry, we still have some positives down low. It is going on to S tier for sure, or My Name Isn't Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Yeah, S tier. So, someone in the chat did point out, I did skip one. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue. Alright, so, a lot of people might not remember this one, but Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue used to be the worst cartoon in this franchise, and it is going on to F because it is still pretty bad. Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about this infamous chapter. So, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue is not actually about them solving mysteries and fighting monsters. It is Shaggy and Scooby-Doo inherit his rich uncle's mansion and find out his rich uncle used to be a spy, and they go on Austin Powers / Kim Possible style spy missions combating this evil German Nazi guy from taking over the world. Does that sound anything like Scooby-Doo? Scott Menville voices Shaggy, and he is bad. He is not good. I know Casey Kasem kind of retired voicing Shaggy by this point, but Scott Menville might be the worst Shaggy we ever had until Will Forte. I think Frank Welker's still voicing Scooby, but Fred, Daphne, and Velma, they are downgraded to basically cameos. We see them in the pilot, and they pop up every now and then, and the show kind of trying to replicate Kim Possible and Austin Powers. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo are spies, and the joke is they suck at being spies. They kind of luck their way into fighting villains and winning and saving the day, cracking cases. The uncle weirdly looks like Ben Ravencroft. The villains, not really all that funny. Like, the villain is this weird, creepy Nazi guy with, like, a robot hand, and he's supposed to be, like, Dr. Evil slash Dr. Draken, and he is so not the drama. I do not like this guy. He does not fit in the Scooby-Doo franchise. Never watched it. R.I.P. to Daphne's military sister's OG life. Yeah, the military sister was nice. What I found is that all of the past mystery solvers all had animal sidekicks. Yeah, they did. One of them had a burro, one had a bull, one had an orangutan, and Professor Pericles was their parrot. I liked Get a Clue, honestly. Aw, Yara, you did. You liked them in spy missions? Shaggy and Scooby-Doo as spies fighting knockoff Dr. Draken, Dr. Evil's bastard child? That one was weird. So, there's a lot of crazy scenarios in the show. They were supposed to be funny, but, like, they shrink down to small size. They go mountain climbing. They get, like, Hot Wheels vehicles. They get a ton of Totally Spies gadgets. This was back when spy parodies were definitely a hit with kids right now. We had stuff like Kim Possible, Austin Powers, Totally Spies, and the show tried to replicate that success, but it doesn't work. It's not Scooby-Doo. This show, quite... Oh, sorry, gotta watch, trying to read the chat. Sorry, I missed my comment. You liked Get a Clue, Yara. I'm ashamed of you. Ironically, I'm eating Scooby snacks while watching. You got good taste, Wild Wolf. Never watched it. You dodged a bullet, Monica. I don't know, maybe I'm more open to different stuff than I think. Well, the problem was, this wasn't really a Scooby-Doo show. It was a spy parody with Scooby-Doo characters as the stars. It's using the Scooby-Doo brand name to promote somebody else's original show. Like, yeah, it is one of those products. It's clearly somebody's original idea, but they slapped a franchise everyone knows and loves name on it, so they could be sure that an audience would give it a try. It's a con that's been pulled a million times, and we all still hate it. This show quite possibly has the worst music intro of Scooby-Doo ever, like Operation Overdrive music intro bad. Yeah, this has infamously the worst theme song of Scooby-Doo. People even like the Velma theme over this one. Two of the henchmen of the villains gave me Henchmen 21 and 24 vibes. Certainly was on purpose. Yeah, I sense that too. The starter villains, they come back. They're pretty much just Henchmen 21 and 24 from the Venture Bros. One's the nerdy meta guy, and one's the fat idiot who screws up a lot. There were definitely a lot of Venture Bros influences here. Yeah, Venture Bros, anyone? Go, Team Venture! Da-da-da-da-dun! The monarch is pleased. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They did kind of look like Henchmen 21 and 24. A running gag of that series is how the robot butler kept calling Scooby Ruby-Doo, despite Scooby telling his name but doesn't realize that Scooby talks with R's in his speech. Yeah, that got kind of annoying. Shaggy and Scooby having a robot butler is just plain weird anyway. Shaggy and Scooby, I don't know if it felt like a rip-off of Venture Bros because of the same plot structure, similar villains, and the timing. Yeah, that might have been the influence too. Venture Brothers is also kind of a spy drama. More so a parody of Johnny Quest, but Johnny Quest was about spies and espionage anyway. I think the rest of Mystery Inc. should have joined them. They should have, but for some reason, they scrapped Fred, Daphne, and Velma. They make cameos, but that's about it. They appear from time to time. Velma gives them, like, smart advice once per episode or something, but they're not tagging along for the mysteries, and that kind of hurt the show a lot more. It's Shaggy and Scooby goofing around and accidentally being the heroes defeating these weird Dr. Evil style villains. It really is weird and off-putting. Also, Nano Machine's so cool, like no Solid Snake parody. Yeah, they kind of missed that idea. It would have made it somewhat better. Yeah, it would have. And was Get a Clue is meh. Get a Clue is so vanilla. It's really boring. It's trying to be funny for the kids, but it's not inventive. It parodies a lot of spy cliches and unfortunately plays a lot of them too seriously and safe too. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue is still a bad cartoon. It is going straight onto F tier. Though luckily, the one nice thing I have to say is that it's not as bad as Velma. Have you seen the Venture Bros? Because the show is way better than this show, that's for sure. Yeah, Venture Bros way better. At Shadowlink, to be honest, original intro is indeed very off-putting in Brazil, but they actually changed up the lyrics a bit, and it was great. Like, I'm glad we didn't get a Twilight Zone parody. Me too. So, modern Hollywood writing in a nutshell. Yep. I'm the rare Operation Overdrive intro enjoyer. Really, Yara? You like the Power Rangers rap? That's gotta be the worst theme song of the entire franchise. I'm not a rap hater, but I can see why people dislike it. Yeah, Operation Overdrive has a terrible theme. Though, not gonna lie, I think RPM's theme song is terrible too. Not RPM the show. RPM is a great show. The theme is what I don't like. The RPM rap. Power Rangers RPM, get in gear. It just doesn't have a sweet beat to it. Like the worst one is Shaggy and Scooby-Doo made a theme park and cry for giving their entire food for the people. Yeah, kind of a dick move on their part. Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue intros like nails on a chalkboard in my opinion. Yeah, it is that bad. Get a Clue is just have Robo, Mecha Scooby-Doo, and Dolphin Scooby. Someone should rewrite Get a Clue so we can get another What's New Scooby-Doo so we can have more monsters. Yeah, there's pretty much no monsters in here. They're all like Kim Possible, Totally Spy-style villains. A little Venture Bros thrown in there too, but yeah, basically not monsters. Would it have been better if it was a Johnny Quest remake? Honestly, it might have. Johnny Quest is a show I really love. I like the real adventures of Johnny Quest. I reviewed one of my favorite episodes from it. Johnny Quest probably should have been remade, but I think the brand name is not recognized by the modern audience, so they don't bother. I want to make a video called Knuckles Approves the Scooby-Doo shows, but I'm not that good at that type of editing. Aw, that's a shame. Like the Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, but only the instrumental, aka the end credits music, not the rap. Like, it's funny that the laser powers goes off. Yeah. Okay, so, it's bad. It's a spy parody Scooby-Doo show. And honestly, we already have one of those. It's the new Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo show, which was a million times better. This one, easy F. Okay, so now officially after what came after the greatest Scooby-Doo show ever was Be Cool, Scooby-Doo. Yeah, remember this one? The weird Family Guy style animation Scooby show. I was not a fan of this one. This one I might have to put onto B. This is Be Cool, Scooby-Doo, so I watched a few episodes and it was not for me. One, the animation was weird. This is the one where they look like Family Guy characters, and they tried to give the gang a lot more personality, but I found them either unlikable or annoying. Daphne is kind of a weirdo in this show. Daphne has like an obsession with puppets. She acts like really kooky, weird, like she's the wild girl. They tried to make Daphne like Pinkie Pie, and it did not work. Like, I'm sorry, it did not work. Daphne was supposed to be like Pinkie Pie or Mabel Pines, and it was really weird. Great DeLeo tries to ham it up and act goofy for the kids. It wasn't my thing. Oh, and this has Velma's replacement voice actress, Kate Micucci. I do not like Kate Micucci Velma. I find her a lot more annoying than adorable. Kate Micucci has the whiny, nasally Velma. Scooby, you're not doing it right. There's no such thing as monsters or ghosts, and I do not like it. Her Velma voice is just irritating, really annoying, and it feels like half her dialogue is her whining or telling the other characters they're stupid, which made me hate Velma a lot more. Yeah, Kate Micucci might be my least favorite Velma, but she's one point above the other Velma we'll get to. Also around this time, Velma became the unpleasant type of know-it-all. Yeah, Velma became a sarcastic know-it-all in this one. They're trying to make her like Linda Cardellini's Velma from the James Gunn movies, but gosh, Kate Micucci just hypes up the obnoxious angle of Velma. I do not like it. Fred gets a little more personality. He's a much more downgraded version of his Mystery Incorporated counterpart. He's trying to impress his rich dad and trying to fit in. A more tired and over this, done with everyone's hijinks Fred. Shaggy is a lot more of a jerk in this one. Shaggy and Scooby get into petty fights all over this. If you're curious what the story is, it's the usual. It's the usual. The gang are going around solving mysteries while a funny slice of life type of Gravity Falls story occurs on the sidelines. Like the Scooby Gang learns a lesson, learns to appreciate their friends. It's trying to be like What's New Scooby-Doo, but one, the animation is just too weird. The monsters are pretty cool. They do go all out on the monsters. There's a more cartoonish sense of humor. They tried to make a self-aware, subversive meta Scooby-Doo, and it's kind of hit or miss. Some jokes are funny, but oftentimes there's also a dud or an annoying joke. Like the writers really just want to make the kids laugh. I would say it's kind of like the Power Rangers Zeo of its franchise. I don't mind Kate's voice, but Velma being that stuck-up know-it-all really displeased me. Yeah, that was a factor that also made me hate Velma. Sorry, catch up on comments, not the rap. Okay. Read that one. Johnny Quest. Yeah, Johnny Quest would be much better. I would make Johnny and Haji the main characters, but I would kind of make it more like a Avatar-style show. Dr. Phineas. Okay, what was that? I could cause more damage with a magnifying glass in a cloudy day? When I saw the trailer, I instantly hated it. It was hate at first sight. Yeah, me too. One, Be Cool was coming off the heels of the critically acclaimed masterpiece Mystery Incorporated, and they let you know that it's going to be a lighthearted show. It's kind of like the rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming after the hit CGI 2012 Ninja Turtles. That Ninja Turtles show was epic. 2012 TMNT was a masterpiece. It was awesome. It won people over and gave us a magnificent turtle story. Then Rise of the TMNT happened, and they were going the Teen Titans Go route, and that pissed a lot of people off. Be Cool Scooby-Doo kind of goes the Teen Titans Go route too. It's a self-parody of Scooby-Doo, and I was not into it. It's just not that funny. It's not the worst cartoon ever. There is a vocal fan base who do love this cartoon, but it just didn't do it for me. I like it more than Scooby and Scrappy do, but the animation was too weird. The comedy was hit or miss, and Daphne and Velma were low-key kind of ruined on this show. I did not like Daphne or Velma, and even Shaggy and Scooby were kind of dicks. Well, Matt Pat called Be Cool Scooby-Doo feels like Phineas and Ferb animation. Kind of, but I got more Family Guy vibes from it. Ooh, you're right, Scoob. We're dealing with one sick son of a bitch. There were some good episodes, and I liked how they tried to tweak the characters' personas, but it was hit or miss for me. Yeah, that's kind of why I'm putting it onto B tier. Some moments are funny, some do make me laugh. I do like that they gave Daphne a reason why she was insane. She had like a troubled childhood. She was like a lonely rich kid who had no friends, and she's trying to find her identity and express herself, which would have been interesting if she wasn't so cringe. My favorite gags in that one was Daphne's hijinks. Those were hit or miss for me. Like, Daphne screws with puppets. She's a mime. She's a skateboarder. She's, like, making a puppet show. She's acting weird and kooky. That, got on my nerves a few times. The one people believe is the worst until what we have and get the people. We're like, perhaps I treated you too harshly. Yeah, I will say, Be Cool Scooby-Doo is not the worst Scooby-Doo cartoon that's ever happened. It's kind of a love it or hate it show. It's so okay, it's average, which is why it's going on to B tier. Fortunately, it was salvaged because what came after was an abomination. The one thing I remember is Daphne giving a trait of where she would have things. She would follow for a while episode like the fake beard or the rival with the dolphins. That was dumb. Also around this time, Velma became the unpleasant type of know-it-all. Yeah, she did. Be Cool Scooby-Doo is like Teen Titans Go of Scooby-Doo because it came out after Mystery Incorporated and came out when Cartoon Network was in the reboot era in 2015. Yeah, we got a lot of crappy reboots around this time. Scooby-Doo rebooted with Be Cool. Teen Titans Go had that god-awful reboot. Oh, the Powerpuff Girls reboot. Remember that abomination? Yeah, Powerpuff Girls 2019. That one was dog crap. Then we had the Ben 10 reboot, which didn't even last one season. Yeah, do you remember Ben 10 also had a Teen Titans Go reboot? It did not do well. Nickelodeon also tried to copy Teen Titans Go with Rise of the TMNT. It was pretty bad until we got the movie. And the vending machine scene in the episode 1 is funny, like how they survived that. And I think that is the only episode. I thought they made Velma be like Twilight Sparkle from MLP. Well, no, because Twilight's actually endearing. Sorry, I got my charger here. And Space Kook redesign looks like Red Skull. Yeah, that was really weird. Fred's family's not rich, that's Daphne's character. Oh, I thought Fred had the rich dad or uncle. So, how's your spooky van? The mystery machine. You don't mind Kate Michucci's voice, Yara? I do, because it gets kind of annoying, especially because her stuck-up know-it-all side really started to take over. That's all Kate Michucci does, is stuck-up Velma now. Again, Wild Lover 21. Did you see that they did the Space Kook? He looked more like a Ben 10 villain than a monster. Yeah, the monsters looked a lot more like super villains in this show rather than ghosts. We have a lot of references to past Scooby-Doo monsters, some being straight up remakes of them. The Space Kook looks like a Ben 10 monster. I don't know why they made his skull red. It looks really ridiculous. They should have gone with the creepy black and blue because that made him creepy. They even dragged this attitude of Velma into the direct-to-video flicks. Yeah, that made me hate Kate Michucci more. Yeah, a lot of the redesigns of monsters look weird. Though I do think the ghost of Elias Kingston looked better on Be Cool, Scooby-Doo than he did in his original show. One of Daphne's hijinks of the series is where she tried to hit Fred with a snowball after he threw one at her a few years ago, like a Doofenshmirtz trait. Yeah, that's another reason why kooky Daphne didn't work. Like, Velma, what did they do to you? Yeah, Kate Michucci just plays stuck-up annoying Velma, and that's all Warner Brothers does with her. Velma's the annoying one. They're trying to make her like Daria from the Daria show, since Linda Cardellini did that well, but Kate Michucci does not do it well, and the writing makes her worse. It felt like Be Cool was trying to be more like What's New, but somehow worse with the Family Guy art style. Yeah, that's what best sums it up. Be Cool Scooby-Doo was an attempt to do another What's New Scooby-Doo style show, but it just didn't work. It fell flat. Some jokes were funny, but oftentimes a lot of misses. The gang were a lot more unlikable in the show, which is a big reason why it's down low. I respect that there are fans who like it, but I am not one of them. Be Cool appropriately gets a B. It felt like I read that one. Akira and I liked it as it's so bad it's funny. Yeah, I could see that. Like Fred thought Shaggy ate his sandwich. Agree with your opinions on B School, hit or miss. If Daphne Blake has an anime design, what design you like? Honestly, I think Daphne Blake might look like Urza Scarlet in anime. The only thing saving Be Cool Scooby-Doo was the monsters and villains with its redesigns and concept. Like, I think there were one episode that was Five Nights at Freddy's inspired. I might be wrong because it's been that long. Yeah, Be Cool Scooby-Doo. I also don't rewatch often because I just didn't like it. I see here in Dan to Dan design of Jigoku Sensei Newbie 2025. I'm sad I missed the Thundercats first reboot stream. Yeah, Bat-Kid, it was fun. The first reboot is awesome. Thundercats Roar, no, that's kitty litter. It felt like Daphne and Be Cool felt like they were trying to be a combination of Pinkie Pie and Izzy from Total Drama, but not knowing what made those characters work. Yeah, namely the fact that they were actually funny, and they weren't adaptations of previous characters. Scooby-Doo Scooby-Doo idea, make it an anime. They are making an anime Scooby-Doo right now, Monica. Imagine what the monsters would look like in the anime. They would be so detailed and 10 times scarier. Absolutely. Wait for Velma hate. I thought everyone was rich with Velma Velma was the least rich. I can't imagine what the Phantom Virus would have looked like in this. Probably god-awful. Got all the colors of the gang: V Scorpio, Scooby Brown, Shaggy Green, Velma Orange, Daphne Purple, and Fred Blue. This was the show that ruined and made Velma a know-it-all jerk, and the worst is only she's gonna get worse in the next show coming up after Be Cool for what to come later. Yep. It's almost time for the most hated Scooby-Doo show. Yep, just finishing the comments. If they want to honor Linda Cardellini Velma, they'd release the movies with the locker room scene back in them. Wink. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That scene that was sinfully deleted. Hey, V Scorpio, they didn't have any Scooby snacks. What? They didn't? I thought they did. Okay, that era of cartoon almost all looked the same. Yeah, Be Cool Scooby-Doo is just funny, but not the best. Maybe honorable. Yeah, we'll stick it on to B. Appropriately, Be Cool gets a B. But unfortunately, we now enter one of the worst Scooby-Doo shows. Let's do it, Velma. Velma is going on to Velma. Yeah, let's do it. Let's bite the poison. Let's finally knock this one out of the way. Let's talk about Mindy Kaling's Velma. It sucks. It is trash. All the reviews you've seen online, accurate. They are right. This is one of the worst Scooby-Doo products of all time. Easily one of the biggest mistakes of this entire franchise. So, if you don't know, HBO Max released a streaming show about Velma. Velma is going to be in our modern day. It was a sort of prequel origin. Velma is now brown to look like Mindy Kaling, because for some reason voice actors have to look like the same race as their characters now. Velma and half the gang got race lifts, and they enter a modern day style Scooby-Doo mystery showing you how the gang unites and form their team. Velma tried to be like the Harley Quinn cartoon, and it failed in absolutely every way. 1, the show is not funny. 2, it's created by Mindy Kaling. 3, all the characters are unlikable. 4, it's created by Mindy Kaling. 5, they bastardize everything about Scooby-Doo. And 6, it was created by Mindy Kaling. Yeah, everything you heard about this show, it's true. It is bad. It's fascinatingly unfunny. This is one of the worst comedy cartoons of all time, and pretty much solidified the harsh truth: Mindy Kaling is a talentless, unfunny hack. She is god-awful as Velma. She's not once funny. The show is very mean-spirited, sour, depressing, and heavily political. Yeah, this is one of those infamous cartoons that overdoses on a ton of political hot topics and talks about wokeness, girl power, and does it in the absolute worst way. It is not good. Somehow they conned Weird Al Yankovic into being in this show. I don't know how. Weird Al, why? You deserve better. Yeah, appropriate, Yara. I told you this one was bad. That era of cartoons that almost always look the same. Yep. We have Guess Who. We'll do that one after because I want to get this one dead now. Velma sucks. Like, this is the worst, like, lowest of the low. My reaction, nuclear explosion reaction. Yeah, everyone in the chat launching their hate. Come on, deliver it. Let it out. Let your true feelings flow. Talk about how doggy-doo this show is. This show was so bad, it didn't even have Scooby-Doo in it. I have a lot to say about this abortion of an abomination. Like I hate Asian Daphne. Yeah, that was weird. So, every one of the Scooby-Doo gang gets a race lift except for Fred. Fred is the only white guy, so he can make jokes about talking about how he's a toxic, stupid white guy. Yeah, there's a lot of racism here. They make fun of white people and black people a lot. Shaggy is now Norval, and he's a black stoner guy, which somehow feels more racist by making him black, yeah. Daphne is Asian and somehow still a redhead, and yes, they make a joke that Daphne's Asian because her parents are really underground mafioso pirates that steal things. Yeah, fighting racism with racism, great job. Mindy Kaling made Velma look like her, and that is a big reason why people hate the redesign. They cry, oh, you're just racist because Velma is now brown. No. We hate her because Mindy Kaling made herself a self-insert in this show. Yeah, Velma looks like she's brown in Mindy Kaling because Mindy Kaling made Velma her self-insert. This show is basically Mindy Kaling's very disturbed therapy session. She spent millions of dollars on this cartoon where she talks about how much she hates life, how much she hates white people, how much she hates men, and how she deserves so much better because she's a woman who exists in the first world. Yeah, there's a lot of terrible, terrible political hot takes. I do not want to go into too much detail on this because I respect people's beliefs and opinions, but they do not belong on a Scooby-Doo show. Even Grey DeLisle said she hated this TV show. Grey DeLisle said on Twitter, she uses very delicate wording here, but she said, yeah, this show was not good. This is not what she was looking forward to when seeing a new Scooby-Doo show. Yeah, don't like Asian Daphne. It doesn't help that her voice actress is also the worst one on the show. During the first Scooby-Doo cartoons had the excuse of limited technology and the ability for animation, but now it's lazy animation. Yeah, they try to make Velma like the Harley Quinn show, but it does not work. For one, Scooby-Doo is a child-friendly franchise. Let's get that out of the way. Scooby-Doo is made for kids. It's made for families. Adults can get into it, but making a hardcore, edgy, R-rated Scooby-Doo, that idea should be flushed down the crapper on the spot. That should be in the end, yeah. And it was created by Mindy Kaling, yeah. Yeah, Mindy Kaling sucks, okay? She wasn't funny on the Mindy Project. Mindy Project was also awful, and Mindy Kaling played the least funny character on The Office, so I was already not looking forward to this show. Mindy Kaling version of Velma is a ripoff of Uzi from Murder Drones, and yes, I do research Murder Drones. In 2021, while Velma in 2023, so Velma ripped off Murder Drones, yeah, in more ways than one. Mindy Kaling was acting like a total bitch. She doesn't even care about our opinions. She just doesn't care, absolutely. That definitely harmed the show more. Mindy Kaling especially was out there on social media telling, oh, the fans are just racist, they're bigots, they can't accept that my work is high art, that I'm an edgy comedian. No, we were criticizing you because you sucked. Velma is the poo. If you want a better Daphne Blake from Asia, watch Dan to Dan, yeah. And etc. Yeah. Sorry, catch up on comments right now. Yeah, Mindy Kaling did not care. After the stream, I'm going to go on a long rant about why Velma is a ripoff of Murder Drones. Feel free to, because the only new thing I don't see anyone talk about when it comes to Velma. Well, everyone's talking about how it sucked. That was what it was recent. Everyone hated this so much, they tried to find dirt on Mindy to cancel her, so the show won't air anymore. Yeah, Warner Brothers thankfully canceled the show. It lasted 2 seasons and a holiday special, but Mindy Kaling was bragging that the show was a hit, and remember when Joe Biden gave Mindy Kaling a Medal of Honor for making this show? Yeah, that was a thing. Joe Biden gave Mindy Kaling a Medal of Honor for making Velma. This is why I make fun of Joe Biden. Nobody liked him as president. Yeah, everyone hated this. The day the episode ended, I celebrated it like it was New Year's. We all did. Velma makes Owl House look better. Velma makes anything look better. So the show's just Mindy Kaling calling in bad Velma cosplay. Yeah, pretty much. How bad is Mindy girl? Mindy... She wants to be an edgy comedian. She's trying to make offensive jokes. She never once makes fun of anyone on her side. She never, mocks women or her own race. But she's out there, talking about, oh, the patriarchy's so evil. You're protected by your white privilege. And she's acting like a complete and total bitch who gets screwed over and screwed out of everything. She deserves so much better when all Velma does is act like the villain. Velma is effectively the true villain of this show. I do have to go over the plot, unfortunately, but I'll do that once I catch up on some comments. Yeah, Mindy Kaling, she was not funny before Velma, and Velma pretty much showed you why she was not funny. Like, Scooby-Doo never exists in this fail bomb. Yeah, Scooby-Doo is not in this show. Scooby-Doo is the one character absent, and honestly, he kind of dodged a bullet. They said that they didn't want Scooby-Doo because they felt a talking dog made the show too ridiculous to take seriously. Then they had Scrappy-Doo as the twist villain. Yeah, they can't even follow their own BS logic. And worst of all, there are no monsters for us to root for so they can kill Velma. Don't worry, Velma does die in the end, but I'll tell that later. The show's the most offensive thing in all of Scooby-Doo history. Like, every moment is just offensive, absolutely. Mindy Kaling, you're not funny, go back to comedy school. Like, this sucks like Jerky McJerkface worse. Velma's everything wrong with reboots, making characters unlikable, being worse types of woke, and doing the old, let's mature this kid show poorly with bad jokes. Yeah, they wanted to be Harley Quinn so badly. And Grey DeLisle uses her Daphne Blake voice in reviews for this terrible show. Yeah, Grey DeLisle also didn't like the show. Tragically, they did rope Frank Welker into this. Frank Welker voices Fred's dad. Fred's dad, this evil, rich white man who's a dick to everyone and heartless. Fred is like this loser man-baby neckbeard who can't do anything on his own. He's kind of a man-child. Fred is supposed to be the leader, but he sucks at being a leader. Daphne is the alpha bitch, and Daphne and Velma have a lesbian romance and they hook up. Yeah, this is clearly Mindy Kaling's creepy fetish porn, and for some reason, everybody loves Velma and wants to bang her. Fred falls in love with Velma, Daphne and Velma become a lesbian couple, and Norval initially has a crush on Velma. He, like, dumps her for this much nicer girl, but yeah, he still has lingering feelings for her, and yeah, you could tell this was Mindy Kaling's self-insert because everyone uncharacteristically and somehow loves her. Yeah, the only good thing is that it helped Scrappy-Doo become beloved and popular again. It did. The Suicide Squad killed the Justice League of Scooby-Doo. Exactly. I never even heard of Kaling. Mindy Kaling was on The Mindy Project and The Office. The Mindy Project was a terrible show, and she was kind of the least funny character on The Office anyway. Yeah, she's an edgy stand-up comedian, and she kind of rode the success of others to have this show made. Well, what if we get a Telltale Games of Scooby-Doo where we see Daphne and Fred doing a Celine and Bruce bed scene? That would be great. I would pay money for that. But oh boy, do I know one or two people like her. Yeah, Mindy Kaling is basically, she's a narcissist. She's an intellectual. Her Velma is, I know everything. I know better. I'm a much more deep, personal person. I'm not attractive, but I have a brain. And really, she's just kind of a rude, obnoxious bitch. That's why people don't like her. Good, get this out of the way. Also, the bottom tier list shouldn't be Velma. It should be Scooby shit, with the show being the only one on it. Yeah, it should. The reason why Velma is the worst is because the show was made for adults, so you can't say it's made for kids' excuse for the show like on Get a Clue. Yeah, but adults want better entertainment. I want to see an adult version of the Clone Wars or the Thundercats reboots. You know, something that's dead serious and doesn't need, you know, crude humor to show you that it's mature. Crimey River, Kaling, they're people with worse lives than you in this country and in third world countries. Yikes America, yikes States, yeah. She complains about everything, and a lot of cringe buzzwords. They say, like, Fred looks like a German Nazi at one point, looks like Evil Mustache Man, and I swear, Weird Al says, and Weird Al, like, takes a picture of Fred in a German suit and says, OMG, he looks like Hitler. And I'm not just saying that because we say everyone's Hitler. That's the type of humor we're in for, folks. Like why Fred's mom takes girls' brains instead of taking girls' heads in season 1. Okay, so we do have to talk about the plot, or I should say lack thereof. Basically, the show is kind of an adult sitcom of Velma getting into wacky antics and befriending the Scooby Gang while a mystery happens on the side. And by on the side, I mean in 3 episodes per each 13-episode season. So, someone's going around and killing a bunch of women, taking their brains and putting them into jars to make them into a mecha suit or something, and we find out the culprit is Fred's mom. Why and how? Fred's mom wants to take down the patriarchy, and doing so by ripping the brains out of women who are feminine. Yeah, I don't get it either. Yeah, Fred's mom was a psycho serial killer, and she was raising Fred to be her perfect body, to rip out her own brain and put into Fred's body so she can grow up as a privileged white male. This is actually the big story and twist, folks. Yeah, Fred's mom wanted to become a rich white male and wanted to use her son as basically the guinea pig. This is why Fred's so stupid, because he wasn't raised right on purpose, making his brain small enough to remove. And basically, they have a big epic fight scene, and Fred's mom dies, and Velma does some She-Hulk style twerking on Fred's mom's corpse right in front of all her friends. Yeah, this story about a strong, independent woman has her doing the She-Hulk twerking dance on the corpse of the villain, showing you that Velma's the hero. I really wish I was making this up. No, it's bad. And to make matters worse, it got a season 2. There's a second season, the Don Knotts sheriff dies, and now there's another mystery killer going around. Someone is going around killing men and taking their nuts off. Yeah, I am not making this up. Someone's like genital mutilating their nuts and taking them off. And who's the culprit? It's none other than Scrappy-Dappy-Doo! Yes, Scrappy-Doo is the villain of Season 2. Scrappy is going around killing men out of revenge, but apparently he's dragging them by their weenuses, and that's accidentally ripping them off with his mutant jaws. Scrappy is a science experiment that went wrong. He was supposed to be like this Resident Evil bioweapon, but he turned into a psycho talking dog. Yes, this show that doesn't have Scooby in it has Scrappy-Doo. Scrappy-Doo is the villain of Season 2, and he's trying to kill all these powerful people in high places, and the one good scene in Velma, Scrappy-Doo murders Mindy Kaling's Velma. Yeah, he attacks like Velma and Daphne at their rich people party, and he knocks Velma off a balcony to her death. Tragically, this was not the end of the show, but Scrappy died a hero. Velma becomes a ghost. Yes, this show is that stupid. Velma is back as a ghost, and she's haunting the town, and the Halloween special, she gets into basically antics setting up a story about reviving Mindy Kaling's Velma. Why? Because she wanted to rub it into the naysayers' faces that, look, our season got revived, but the show bombed horribly, and that's where it ends. Mindy Kaling's Velma is dead and is a ghost, haunting Asian Daphne. Yeah, this show, it sucks so hard, but the one good thing is it redeems Scrappy-Doo. Catch up on comments and catching my breath. Only Mindy worthy for Velma is Khan, not Kaling. Exactly. Exactly. I'd rather have Biden than he who must not be named. I don't know, I kind of hate them both. As if Biden didn't lose his mind enough. Yeah, that happened. Joe Biden gave Mindy Kaling a Medal of Honor for making this show. Yeah, it was a medal for bravery. Mindy Kaling got a medal for bravery for coming out with Velma. And apparently Warner Brothers realized they backed the wrong horse and they backed out, and it is completely canceled. Hopefully Japan does Scooby-Doo better, and I have much more faith in them than I do with HBO right now. The worst part is there's no Scooby-Doo. There was a quote-unquote theory that they tried to set up where they were hinting that Shaggy's, or Norval's new girlfriend, this teen black girl, was going to become Scooby-Doo. Yeah, this was actually a thing Mindy Kaling was teasing. Shaggy's girlfriend, this black girl who's like an art student, she was going to get her brain ripped out by Fred's mom, and her brain would be transferred into a dog. Scooby-Doo was going to be Shaggy's girlfriend in a dog body. That was actually a thing Mindy Kaling thought about setting up. Yeah, honestly, I hate both the presidents, John Smith. I don't like either one. The show ended on a cliffhanger, so this abomination could go to the graveyard or bad show no one will miss, like High Garden Spice. Willow TV show, yeah, screw the Willow show. Star Wars Acolyte, screw that show too. And other Velma, that is bad. Like, that way Inside Out 2 recast Disgust actress. Yeah, that was funny. Mindy Kaling got into such controversy that they fired her from Inside Out 2 because they saw Velma. They saw all the controversy around Velma, and Mindy Kaling lost a lot of work now, so there was some good that came from this show. Yeah, Mindy Kaling's not Disgust, the emotion, anymore. They replaced her. Like, Velma's just a show that they should be removed from HBO Max with Teen Titans Go. Unfortunately, no, Teen Titans Go is making them money. Be happy Scooby-Doo is not on the show because Scooby-Doo would be a chihuahua that did not receive that do nothing but dumb comedy jokes. Also race swap Scooby with a different dog breed, probably. Like Fred and Daphne is better, absolutely. Like Amber is Thorne's daughter. Oh, that's right. The Hex Girls are also in this show. And the Hex Girls are now old women who failed at being rock stars. Yeah, the Hex Girls are in this, and tragically and sinfully, they got Jennifer Hale to play an old, washed-up, former drug addict Thorne. Thorne is now like a 60 to 70-year-old woman who tried to be a cool goth rock star but failed, and she's making a comeback with the other two, Dusk and Luna. Yeah, Dusk and Luna are here, and it turns out Daphne's lesbian foster moms are Dusk and Luna. If you're curious, Dusk is this masculine-looking middle-aged black woman, and Luna, or whichever one, is a fat, overweight blonde girl. Yeah, she looks kind of like Cass Elliot in the show. Yeah, they ruined the Hex Girls. The Hex Girls are not sexy, badass rock stars. They're these old, washed-up loser women with no lives. Yeah, middle finger to the witch's ghost while you're at it, Mindy. And I'm getting trauma flashbacks from this show. Sorry, Monica. I know I'm spelling her name. I don't know how to spell it. I don't know. Yeah, me neither. Also, I'm sure that the daughter was like a they-them. Mindy Kaling in Real has more similarities to Velma version of Fred, mostly Fred from being born rich, and that's also Mindy Kaling is not a good person. Like, it feels so bad. It is bad. Like, how is it this weird? I remember people were desperate to get the show canceled, like, DLAD, or Dead before. People have been finding dirt on her to cancel this series. If you want to watch a good show, just watch Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated or Murder Drones, which are a million times better than Velma. Bro, everything's better than Velma. I would, if you want an adult Scooby-Doo, I would honestly recommend seeing that Venture Brothers episode where the Scooby Gang go to the Venture Bros compound and Scooby-Doo's like a magic satanic dog. Velma is the Netflix adaptation of Scooby-Doo. And Infinity Zero, like the lowest bottom of Dante's Inferno, yep. Velma's what happens when political correctness creates a show. Yeah, Don Knotts said, based economy, yet still cheats on her homework, yep. Yikes. No need to insult Netflix. Actually, I heard that the reason why Fred's mom did those things was because she wanted to put the brain of a hot white girl, because she believed they can be more successful, but realized Velma was it. Yeah, that's stupid. Like, again, Velma gets a super F. Yeah, she's on Velma. She gets her own column of badness. Does anyone need a neuralizer to wipe these memories of the abomination of a show away because it's this painful? Yeah, I do. I was already a rage quitting after the first 2 episodes of Season 1, but now there's a Season 2. Yeah, Season 2 is the Scrappy-Doo story. So, Ra's al Ghul's from Batman Beyond. Ra's al Ghul's from Batman in general. But yeah, his plan from Batman Beyond, he's gonna transfer his brain into someone else. Scrappy-Doo, played by Rex Splode's actor. Yeah, don't remind me. And I preferred calling Banana Organ. Yeah, Banana Organ, okay. Like, this is the Ghost Beach all over again. Bring the Exorcist. Never thought I'd love Scrappy-Doo so much more. Yep, Scrappy-Doo kills Velma, but Velma's still a ghost. Season 1 of Velma is beyond awful, unfunny moments, and cringy. Season 2 is so awful. I don't know what's happening because it's like my brain refuses to remember what the show is. I know what the show is, unfunny. And if you want a protagonist die and become a ghost, watch Yu Yu Hakusho. Scooby-Doo versus Godzilla. It might be hard. Also, What's New Scooby-Doo did an episode like that. Shaggyzilla, awesome. I hope anime Scooby-Doo have Daphne cursed by becoming, Rokubi. She has to be high to think that. I would rather watch Teen Titans Go than watch fucking Velma. Yeah, we all would. Like, how did Dusk and Luna become cops? Well, presumably they abandoned their rock star career and got real jobs. The Hex Girls were so pointless. They were, but believe it or not, the old, elderly loser Hex Girls were supposed to get a story arc in Season 3. That didn't happen, and we all thank God. No, I can't imagine what the Phantom Virus would look like. Why even bother using the Hex Girls rather than make a new character? Because Mindy Kaling wants to poop all over everything that made Scooby-Doo awesome. Like, so bad. Venture Brothers did superhero parody so well. They did. Harley Quinn also kinda did until it went on. Let's make the old Family Guy cutaway with Scooby-Doo murder files a real thing. Ooh, you're right, Scoob. We're dealing with one sick son of a bitch. Velma should go to the void of no return because there's no redeeming thing about Velma. Again, Asian Daphne is more hate if there is a Daphne Blake tier list. Yeah, if. Not sure I might do one because I haven't seen everything Scooby. I think it's a Mandela effect, but I remember there being 2 Shaggyzilla episodes, but there was only one. There was one Shaggyzilla episode in What's New Scooby-Doo. Thanks. If Scooby-Doo ever did a Spider-Verse story, Mindy Kaling Velma should be the main villain and erased from existence at the end. Yeah, that would be awesome. Like, it's lame. Okay, say it. To wrap up, Mindy Kaling's Velma is awful. So awful, it's getting its own column. Velma is as bad as Velma. Everything everybody says about this show, about how bad it is, 100% fact and true. It sucks. Do not watch it. So, let's watch something a bit more refreshing. I skipped over this one. The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, aka the Vincent Van Ghoul and Flim Flam season. Alright, might upset some people, but 13 Ghosts, I might have to put onto B. This show is so crappy. Yep, it is, Bat Kid. Like, it is cringe, and I don't want to hear this cancer. Yeah, we're moving on. 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. Okay. This show is almost good, but it has a lot of scratches, a lot of flaws, and some things to hate. Namely, Flim Flam. Fuck you, Flim Flam. You son of a bitch, I hate you. Fuck Flim Flam. Fuck him. He ruined the show. Trying to do Dr. Wolfula. Yeah, Dr. Wolfula was right. Flim Flam sucks. Flim Flam is the little con artist kid who tags along with the Scooby Gang, helping them trap the 13 ghosts. Okay, so some people might not know this show existed. It had 1 season and tragically never resolved its story arc until the movie. And yeah, I tragically do have to count the movie as the finale. Scooby and the gang accidentally unlock a cursed chest which has demons from hell locked inside. They accidentally release the 13 ghosts. They meet Vincent Van Ghoul. He's not an actor, but Vincent Van Ghoul is the Doctor Strange of Scooby-Doo. Doctor Strange, Vincent Van Ghoul, tasks the Scooby Gang with hunting down and recapturing these 13 demons and ghosts. They have to bring them to justice because if they let them loose, they will cause massive chaos upon the globe. And the Scooby Gang, along with the new character Flim Flam, travel across the world going on crazy adventures to recapture these 13 ghosts. Gotta catch them all. And while they do this, it is kind of a story arc season. There is continuity. They are catching the ghosts. The Scooby Gang and Vincent Van Ghoul slowly become best friends over the course of the story arc, and they foil a lot of evil, insane supervillain schemes of these 13 ghosts. So, honestly, I thought the concept was really cool. However, Flim Flam, easily the worst character in this. I think Flim Flam was introduced to try and add another kid appeal character, but Flim Flam ended up being very annoying. Susan Blue's worst voice acting goes into this character. Flim Flam is supposed to be funny, like he's Eddie from Ed, Edd n Eddy. He's the wacky, smart mouth, con artist kid, always landing into trouble, but he's got a lot of spunk and energy, which is why you like him, and a hidden heart of gold deep down. Vincent Van Ghoul ended up being the most popular character from this, to the point where he would return in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. So, what made the show stand out is Vincent Van Ghoul is voiced by horror icon Vincent Price. Yeah, Scooby-Doo got Vincent Price, a legendary name for horror fans, to play Vincent Van Ghoul, who is kind of a fictional character version of himself, but that was really cool. Vincent Price plays it very dead seriously. Vincent Van Ghoul is this cool Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme type of character. He helps the Scooby Gang, but he's also kind of a dick. He very much blames the Scooby Gang for losing the 13 ghosts, but slowly but surely they form an odd friendship over the course of the series, to the point where they actually save Vincent Van Ghoul from his psycho ex-girlfriend. Yep, Velma's crappy. 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo. I'm glad you didn't save Velma for last so you can so you'd beat up all night. Yeah, don't worry, we'll end on a high note. AKA the scene where I miss Daphne Blake as a werewolf, where I thought Fred and Daphne's son is Will Blake from Werewolf of Fever Swamp. That would be funny, but Fred would never take Daphne's last name. It's a very good concept. I wish Velma and Fred was in the show. Yeah, Velma and Fred are missing in an actual good finale. So, that is also why it's down low. The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo didn't really get a finale. It ended kind of on a cliffhanger. They captured 12 of the 13 ghosts, and they were supposed to get a movie where they would fight the final 13 ghosts in this big epic climax. However, Scooby-Doo ended up hitting the reset button and we got a pup named Scooby-Doo instead. They never made a movie for the 13 ghosts until years later, where they finally gave us a finale. And it sucked. It basically retconned everything good about the show and tried to tie up everything neatly. They brought Vincent Van Ghoul and Flim Flam back and they finally meet Fred and Velma, but the movie sucked. I do not recommend the 13 Ghosts movie. It was a terrible disappointment of a finale. If you're curious as to why, they basically retconned the entire show. Velma reveals and deduces that it wasn't real. It didn't happen. The 13 ghosts were all illusions and hallucinations from a high-altitude air. Yeah, that's stupid. It sucked. Don't watch it. And also weird, because Flim Flam came back as now a young adult, yet the Scooby Gang was still the same age. Yeah, that totally wasn't confusing. Yeah, they had a bad finale, and feels like Buffy versus Daphne Blake. Yeah, they gave Daphne a whole new makeover. Daphne kind of looks like she dresses like Buffy or the bride from Kill Bill. Daphne is back. It's Shaggy, Scooby, Scrappy, Daphne, and the new characters Flim Flam and Vincent Van Ghoul. They formed their own Mystery Inc. team. I do find it funny how Daphne was in a lot of these spin-offs, but Scrappy's here too, and Scrappy is kind of redeemed because Flim Flam is the more annoying character. Oh, also, there wasn't really a main villain. There were two. I think, what was their names? Like, Buckle and Weird or something like that. Yeah, these two weird ghosts. They were kind of like Goldar and Rita Repulso. These two funny talking ghosts who serve the 13 ghosts. Bulgle and Weird, I believe were their names. They were these two, like, cartoonish ghosts. They felt more like Power Ranger villains than actual Scooby-Doo monsters. Bulgle and Weird tricked Shaggy and Scooby into releasing the 13 ghosts because they couldn't since they were ghosts, and Bulgle and Weird kind of became the hired goons for every one of the villains of the week. Yeah, I know you want a death battle with Buffy versus Daphne. Vincent Price was my favorite all-time actor, to tell you the truth. Yeah, Vincent Price is pretty good. Vincent Van Ghoul ended up being the most popular character. Ironically, they wanted to push Flim Flam, but it didn't work. Yeah, so cool. The movie's monsters, what were good. Osmodius was a cool monster. Yeah, there were a lot of interesting monsters. I actually did kind of like Zombozo, or Zomboza. She was like traversing through the TV. There was a comic book monster, a ghoul monster, this weird Oscar the Grouch looking monster. They got really creative with them. Yeah, there is real supernatural threats in this Scooby show. Once again, another Scooby story with real ghosts before Zombie Island. Truth, Skip, Retcon, Return to Zombie Island, and The Mystery of the 13 Ghosts. Yeah, both those suck. Skip the 13 Ghosts movie and the Return to Zombie Island movie. Those are both the worst Scooby-Doo products next to Velma. Yeah, if I had a Velma slot, I would put them down here too. So technically they did get a finale, but it was unsatisfying. A lot of people did not like it. They retconned everything good about the show and tried to say the 13 Ghosts was just another Scooby-Doo mystery. It was bad guys in masks, nothing actually happened, the supernatural was fake, and nobody liked that. That's some Return to Zombie Island level BS. Yeah, it was. That's why people hated the movie. Like, 13 Ghosts is cool to see. I might recommend actually checking it out at least once. There are some fun concepts, but Flim Flam really annoying. Scrappy Doo is back. He's not as annoying as he was in his first show, but Don Messick plays Scrappy a lot more cute in this one. But seeing Shaggy, Scooby, and Daphne fighting demons and ghosts, that is pretty fun, and Vincent Price being in Scooby-Doo should be an easy sell. Daphne, will have you ever finish your homework? Will Blake, not yet, Mom, just doing my studies. Daphne, remind me of Freddy. Yeah. Okay, so, The 13 Ghosts, I tried to like this show. There are some good moments here and there. I do like it a lot more than these lower tier entries, but there are some negatives, a lot of cons. Flim Flam, I hate you, Flim Flam. Vincent Van Ghoul could have been one of the coolest characters of Scooby-Doo. I'm glad he came back in Mystery Incorporated, but the movie finale definitely sunk this show very low. I do have to count it because it completes the story arc, but the show, I think it's fine. I'll put it on a B tier. I'll be nice. It had some creativity, and it definitely deserved the original planned finale a lot more than the Return to Zombie Island style finale, which crapped all over the show. I'll put it on a B. It's fine. Alright, I gotta use my first restroom break, but what do you guys want as the next show we do? Or special event? I did sneak in 2 more entries here, some crossovers. Tell me what you guys want to see next on the tier list. I'll be right back, just taking my first restroom break. See you later, meddling kids. Alright, Cat's back. What'd you guys vote for? Scooby Natural there? Yes, it is. It is right here. That's, yeah, it was. Yeah, Scooby Natural's on here. Johnny Bravo won since House always cares for Johnny Bravo times Velma. Not as cool as Ed times Daphne. Alright, why not? Let's do Bravo Doobie Doo. And this one actually going on to S tier. Yeah, I love this crossover. The Scooby Gang meets Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo gets lost driving up to his aunt's haunted house, and he hitchhikes with the Scooby Gang, leading to one of the most hilarious cartoon crossovers ever. The Scooby-Doo Gang and Johnny Bravo solving a mystery together. This crossover was so crazy at the time. So, what made this very special is there were currently no new Scooby-Doo shows at the time. This was right after A Pup Named Scooby-Doo and before What's New Scooby-Doo, so there was at least a decade where we got no new Scooby-Doo shows. So, seeing the gang pop up on Johnny Bravo made it one of the best episodes ever. If you don't know, Johnny Bravo is basically this doofus womanizer who's always trying to get laid or getting into wacky misadventures. He was one of the classic Cartoon Network characters. Johnny Bravo is absolutely hilarious. Highly recommend this show, especially if you love hot chicks and goofy ass comedy. Johnny Bravo was an unlucky doofus womanizer, and he meets the Scooby-Doo gang. The Scooby Gang are actually voiced by their previous actors. Frank Welker, Casey Kasem, I believe Scott Ines voices Scooby-Doo in this one. Yeah, Scott Ines from Zombie Island. Heather North, and BJ Ward plays Velma. Yeah, this is the first time BJ Ward played Velma before Zombie Island happened, I believe, or loosely around the same time. And Johnny Bravo hitchhikes with the gang and encounters a lot of their weird, wacky antics, and there's a lot of hilarious comedy. Who's the monster? It's the ghostly gardener. They find that Aunt Jebediah is missing, and there's a ghostly groundskeeper Willie type of character going around haunting the place, leading to them solving a mystery and getting into wacky cartoon antics. Like it's funny. Yeah, Scooby Natural is here. Don't worry, John Smith. Might be the last one we do. Johnny Bravo one. House likes Johnny Bravo times Velma. Oh, hilariously, Johnny Bravo wants Daphne. Like all us great men with great taste. Like it's a funny moment. Supernatural episode. Like my glasses joke is funny. My glasses. I can't see without my glasses. My glasses. I can't be seen without my glasses. And some still do say that he actually is a little kid, because why else does he not look like any other adult, and he's shorter than everybody else? I think that the Batman crossover episode was funny. Yeah, which one? The Adam West one or the Kevin Conroy one? Or are you talking about Johnny Bravo? Like it is funny and the unmasking moment is cool. Yeah, so a lot of wacky antics, wacky slapstick. Both the comedy from Scooby-Doo and Johnny Bravo are poured in here, and it's really great. I like that Fred and Daphne are implied to be doing it. Yeah, they actually do go that far. Fred and Daphne go to be alone in part of the house, while Velma goes with Scooby and Shaggy gets stuck with Johnny Bravo. The ghostly gardener doesn't get too much personality, but it's kind of funny that this groundskeeper Willie ghost is chasing them. So, after a lot of wacky mishaps, who is the ghost? Why, it's none other than Johnny's Aunt Jebediah. I like the mask gag they're finding out. It's like 20 different people. It's Professor Hyde White. No, wait a second. Harry the hypnotist. Wait a minute. Bigfoot. Don Knotts. Joe Barbera. Who's that? Yeah, that's gotta be my favorite joke of the entire crossover. Okay, so it was really his Aunt Jebediah because Johnny Bravo's aunt hates him. She hates his guts, she hates him, she thinks he's a disgrace to their family, and she convinces the Scooby Gang to leave Johnny Bravo for dead in the forest. Yeah, that's actually the ending. Johnny Bravo always suffers wacky comeuppance at the end of every episode, and this was his. He gets left for dead and tied to a tree in the forest, and Aunt Jebediah creepily hits on Shaggy. Yeah, the vague age of Mystery Incorporated kind of makes this moment squicky, but Johnny Bravo gets saved by Speed Buggy. Hey pal, need a lift? Yeah, really funny twist ending, honestly. Yeah, the unmasking gag, my favorite. No worries, just curious. I'm doing a couple things at once, so I didn't have the list in front of me for a while. I see it now. Only a few entries left, John Smith. My glasses. I can't see without my glasses. My glasses. I can't be seen without my glasses. They did swap glasses, like Velma and Johnny Bravo accidentally put on the wrong glasses. Velma has like his shades on, she can't see. Jinkies, everything's dark, I've gone blind. And Johnny Bravo switches them back. I'm only gonna say this once. Don't touch the glasses. They're actually putting continuity between the relationship between Fred and Daphne. Yeah, they are. Fred and Daphne actually are dating in this one. Johnny Bravo hits on Daphne because Daphne is a perfect 11 out of 10, but Velma actually has a crush on Johnny Bravo. I do like that they make Velma shipped with a lot more characters. Velma like hits on a ton of guys and gets a lot of love interests of both genders now. But yeah, Velma actually tries to hit on Johnny Bravo. Don't worry, I don't bite. Does she? Classic Bravo. Like, I see the moment that he tied Johnny Bravo on a tree. Okay. Haha, reminds me of Peacemaker giving the guy the list of people to frame for crimes. I like it's Johnny Bravo, but you're really saying that they do hint that Fred and Daphne are doing it. They do. Like, look at their expressions. Here we go again, twist ending. There's always a twist ending in horror. Like, it's cool. Okay, so, Trap Up, Bravo Doobie-Doo. It is a great crossover. It is hilarious. You cannot have a bad time watching this. The best of Scooby-Doo and Johnny Bravo clash, and give us a really rewarding special. Going on to S tier. Alright. Let's do Scooby-Doo and Guess Who? And this one, going on to C tier. This is the new Scooby-Doo guest stars show, and it's not very good. Honestly, it's not very good. We have modern-day celebrities and modern-day cartoon icons meeting the Scooby Gang. This is the modern Scooby Gang. I do like that they tried to recycle the iconic animation from the old show, but the comedy and storytelling is much more hit and miss. More hit and miss than Be Cool Scooby-Doo for me. So, the Scooby-Doo meet a ton of guest stars, and it's modern-day celebrities and some previous guest stars. They meet Kevin Conroy's Batman, Linda Carter's Wonder Woman, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and my favorite, Ricky Gervais. Yeah, the Scooby Gang meet Ricky Gervais, and I believe Sandy Duncan came back, though there's some celebrities I do not know anything about, like Sia is apparently in this show. Don't know who that is. I know she was like on the My Little Pony movie, but Sia was a really weird one. Sandy Duncan actually came back on the show, so that was definitely one of the highlights. One of my least favorite episodes, easily when they meet Barry Allen. Yeah, Barry Allen, the Flash, is best friends with Shaggy and Scooby, and he's trying to help them solve the mysteries faster so he can hang out with his bros. Yeah, Shaggy and Scooby have the Flash on speed dial. And they show the Flash, Wonder Woman, and Batman. Weirdly, no Superman, though. Oh, that's right, Urkel is on this show, and yeah, Jaleel White plays Urkel. He's not playing himself as a guest star, it is Urkel. Like, who the hell in this day and age is going to know who Steve Urkel is? Wasn't Family Ties on like 20 years ago? Yeah, you saw that moment, he was tied to the tree. Here we go again, twist ending. Sorry, Joseph, that's the horror spectrum. I remember that Johnny one where they had a promo of Johnny falling for Velma, but she rejected his proposal. Velma is married to mystery solving, okay? I kind of forgot Scooby-Doo Guess Who even existed. Yeah, me too. That's why it's going down low. One, the show honestly wasn't all that funny. They definitely tried, but it was not sticking for me. I do like that Kevin Conroy's Batman meets them, and the monster turns out to be the Joker. Yeah, they got Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill to be Batman and Joker. Though, I really wish they just did Scooby-Doo meets Batman the animated series, but they didn't. It should have been it should have been A because it's got Kevin Conroy Batman for one last time. Rip Batman. Yeah, okay, so just because Kevin Conroy's in it doesn't mean it's good. Kevin Conroy is also in the Devil May Cry Netflix series, and that show is a pile of bat guano. You and I was not for the whole guest celebrity things in these shows. It just got old very quickly. But sadly, no one even gets Ben 10, Starfire, or anime characters. Like Daphne likes Joker's makeup. Yeah, that was weird. She was like into it because he was stylized. Only one I saw was the Batman one because it's Kevin Conroy. Mark Hamill's Joker was in it too. Yeah, I watched that one too because, well, I love Kevin Conroy Batman. Of course, Mark Hamill Joker's my number one. That's like the only episode people see. Hang on. My phone had a notification. Sorry about that, folks. Okay, so, yeah, the only one I saw was, I did see multiple episodes. I saw all the DC crossovers. I saw Ricky Gervais, and it was really weird hearing them. Like, okay, Scooby, you take the clue. No, Scooby, you take the clue. Yeah, Ricky Gervais does his weird non sequitur babbling on sense of humor. That one was bizarre. The show also gave us this. Yeah, I do like Mark Hamill's Joker is in it, and Kevin Conroy's Batman. That was definitely the only good episode. They meet the animated series Batman and Joker rather than the Adam West style Batman and Joker. Surprised the Scooby Gang didn't meet Markiplier or any internet celebrities on the show. Well, they met Neil deGrasse Tyson. That one was also kind of baffling. Some of the celebrities they chose for this show were really weird. The one episode I really hated was the Flash one. Wonder Woman was also on the show, and I think they got Linda Carter, which was cool, but it was very clear she was not much of a voice actress. Surprise, the Scooby Gang didn't meet Markiplier. Probably not a lot. As I said earlier, they seriously had a fucking Macklemore. Yeah. This series is red herring in the form of Simone. That was weird too. Like Daphne's first crime, steal a lipstick in Kevin Conroy's Batman episode. One joke I did laugh at in the Flash episode, they find out it's Mark Hamill as the monster and they believe it's the Joker, but no, it's Mark Hamill's other character, the Trickster. Yeah, remember Mark Hamill used to be the Trickster? I guess they were hoping the CW Flash fans were watching this show. Like, yeah, Daphne tried to steal lipstick. So it turns out Daphne is related to Alfred Pennyworth, Batman's butler. Like, Alfred is her uncle or something, and they were visiting him while he was working for billionaire playboy Bruce Wayne, only to accidentally stumble upon Kevin Conroy's Batman on a caper. Okay, so, yeah, seeing Kevin Conroy's Batman interacting with the Scooby Gang was pretty much the only highlight of this show. All the celebrities, kind of weird and outlandish. I think they also met Bobby Flay. He eventually got the movie where they met him. Yeah, Urkel was a Family Matters / Family Ties. And as Michael J. Fox show. Yeah, they met Urkel, and that one was weird. Like, what kid in this day and age remembers who Steve Urkel was? Wasn't that show, like, on 20 years ago? Yeah, Morgan Freeman. I almost forgot. Morgan Freeman was on this show. Tragically not as Lucius Fox, but as himself. Didn't you get the memo? Also, the show gave us a crossover with the Funky Phantom, and we got to see what the gang would be like if they didn't meet each other. Yeah, Bill Nye the Science Guy was in the crossover, and Alex Trebek. Tragically, the last guest appearance Alex Trebek, the Jeopardy host, ever made. That was also kind of a weird guest star, but at least he was relevant. Oh, I forgot, they also meet the Hex Girls, and it was also another weird episode. This show had a lot more outlandish, bizarre, quirky mysteries. The Hex Girls are being brainwashed into being safe and sanitized, and Thorne becomes kind of a ditz. She, like, loses her memory and personality. They do meet the Hex Girls. They did get Thorne, Dusk, and Luna, and much better than Velma's portrayal by far. I meant all Batman crossovers. Okay. Also, Scooby-Doo's giant universal feat. Why didn't Scooby-Doo Guess Who didn't get any anime characters, internet celebrities, or celebrate that there were love or popular during the late 2010s if they were choosing modern characters to celebrate? I think they kind of thought they were. I like Bill Nye, but his show also hasn't been on in forever, and I seriously doubt little kids these days would recognize Bill Nye the Science Guy or Steve Urkel. Used to. Maddie Ziegler, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, the Zabrowski triangle. Well, rich people know rich people. Okay, that makes sense. I remember how after the trickster was in jail and I said he was a fan of the creeper. I thought he still did. Also, Alfred wasn't her uncle per se, but she called him his uncle out of respect. Okay, thank you. We get the Techno Phantom, which is just using Green Phantom. So, a lot of the monsters were kind of homages to something the celebrity guest star was related. Like, in the Batman episode, they're solving the case of an evil bat, and it's Man-Bat. It's basically Man-Bat, but really a costume being used by the Joker. In The Flash, they, like, fight a Flash villain. It's really the Trickster in disguise. In I believe, like, Ricky Gervais, it's like one of the characters from one of his comedy shows or whatever. It's really bizarre. They did the Hex Girls more justice than Velma. Yeah, absolutely. They could have picked other cartoon characters. Honestly, they should have. Like, the Scooby Gang should have met other cartoon characters on at the time, like Steven Universe or Gumball or Mordecai and Rigby. That would have been awesome seeing the regular show cast meet the Scooby Gang. Or, you know, make the Courage the Cowardly Dog an episode instead of a feature film. Like, no Team Ruby crossover. No, they were busy clashing with the Justice League. Yeah, the Hex Girls were much better on this cartoon than in the other one. And I am making a Guess Who parody in What's a Pad and Teacher Newbait. Cool. No Batgirl crossover in Guess Who. Sadly not. Only Kevin Conroy, because they spent all the money on him. One moment I found funny is when Sean Ashton guest starred, and they said he never held the ring. Flay being Fred's uncle in the movie on YouTube for free. Oh, it's on YouTube for free now. Okay, I saw it on Cartoon Network instead. Okay, so Scooby-Doo, Guess Who? It's not as funny as the original guest star show, and a lot of the episodes were kind of duds. They weren't all that funny. They weren't offensively bad. I didn't walk away hating the show, but I felt really nothing for this. Kevin Conroy's Batman being the only episode of good interest, and it did have some funny moments, but I tried it. It was not for me. It was not funny. Kate Micucci's Velma was still a stuck-up know-it-all, and some of the guest stars were not all that unique or interesting or compelling. I did not care to see them meet Sia or Steve Urkel, and Bill Nye, bless his heart, he's a cool science guy, but his show hadn't been relevant for years, so seeing him come back was kind of bizarre. The guest stars I think hold up are easily the cartoon ones, Batman, Flash, and Wonder Woman, but the Flash episode, easily the one I hated the most because of how boring it was. Yeah, that's kind of my issue with the show. It's kind of a mediocre Scooby show. It is painfully average and forgettable, so I'm putting it onto C tier. I mean, it as a question, forgot the question mark. Yeah, Bobby Flay was on a Scooby-Doo movie. Scooby-Doo, Guess Who feels like wasted potential. Yeah, exactly, because there's so much potential when it comes to crossovers in the late 2010s, when the show was airing. Yeah, they kind of did a basic job at it. Like, I see why I didn't see Catwoman meet the Scooby Gang. Well, Catwoman's a pro thief, but it would have been funny hearing Grey DeLisle's Catwoman meet Daphne. But no, missed opportunity. The show was kind of meh. Alright, let's finish this. Final two shows. Up next, we'll bump off this one, Scooby-Doo in the Laugh Olympics. Yeah, remember this? This is the big Hanna-Barbera cinematic crossover, and this one I will also put on to B. You know, I might bump up the new Scooby-Doo show to an A because it had more moments I liked. But let's do the Laugh Olympics. This one we'll put on to high B. So, Scooby-Doo joins the Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe in an Olympics Games. Yeah, if you don't know this show, it is really old. It has all the classic Hanna-Barbera characters. Scooby-Doo is the leader of his Scooby team, and he's competing with the Really Rottens and the Yo-Yogis. Yogi Bear has a rival team. Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, the Pink Panther, Quick Draw McGraw, Augie Doggy and Doggy Daddy, Muttley and Dick Dastardly, all a bunch of crazy cartoon characters all unite for this big fun Olympic style show. All the Scooby characters basically compete to win first place in the Olympics, and Yeah, it's pretty much just a dumb fun crossover. It's fun seeing all these characters together on the big screen. It's kind of low-key a goofy cinematic universe. Seeing Scooby and Yogi Bear together on the big screen, all these characters you would not ever expect meeting each other. Like Blue Falcon and Dynomutt are in the same stage as Muttley. Yeah, this has the classic catchphrase where they cheated, the really rotten stole the lead. Yeah, the Muttley evil snicker. That's pretty much the one gag everyone remembers from this show. I saw it before. Yeah, I had a VHS tape of this. That's how I know it. I have not seen every episode, but I had like a VHS which had it. It was like a bonus episode on a Scooby-Doo VHS, and I got one of its own eventually. I hope the episode with Wonder Woman had a feminist theme. I saw it, not hope. It's the celebrity cameos from the early show equivalent for this generation. Exactly, but it's not as fun or engaging. I saw it before. Laugh Olympics is cool. I have Volume 2. Yeah, I used to have it. I had it on VHS. It's kind of funny. It's great seeing all these characters bounce off of each other. A lot of interesting character dynamics and interactions. The really rottens were the bad guy team. They always tried to cheat, always tried to score the lead. They sabotaged the rivals, only for karma to hit them every time and they fail. I don't think the really rottens ever won an episode. Usually Yogi Bear's team or Scooby-Doo's team won in the end because they were the good guys. Do you remember Robot Chicken did a parody of this? Yes, Robot Chicken did like a parody, and it was trying to remember that one movie where terrorists were attacking the Olympics. They were in World War II, and one of the team were Nazi spies, and we see Scooby and the gang, and Yogi Bear's team is getting assassinated. That was a hilarious episode. So yes, I do remember Robot Chicken parodying this. I know I'm not the only one who had a crush on Daisy Mayhem. Yeah, she was hot, and she was bad, and wish she had her own TV show. Yeah, she was actually based off of a different character because copyright didn't allow them to get every character. Daisy Mayhem should come back. Fun fact, she had the same voice as Winnie from Ghoul School. Oh, I did not know that. That girl has range. I thought that was called the Wacky Races. Laugh Olympics was kind of a sequel to the Wacky Races. Wacky Races was kind of its own thing. Then this was low-key a spin-off, but they included more Hanna-Barbera characters. But I hate that they removed Fred, Daphne, and Velma from the Laugh Olympics. Well, let's face it, they probably would have won. Fred and Daphne are athletic, and Velma's too smart to be fooled by Muttley. Yeah, this is kind of why we saw the Hanna-Barbera crossover in that infamous movie Scoob. They confirm that all the Hanna-Barbera characters share a universe, basically. Like Scooby-Doo's team removes Genie and Josie and the Pussycats got cut because of copyright. Yeah, that sucked. Copyright kind of killed a lot of them. Daisy Mayhem, she was cool. She was like a badass evil hillbilly girl. She was kind of like an evil Daisy Duke. She was hot, but really funny, and usually karma always hit them. Yeah, the magician guy even said he and a few characters were original characters and how Daisy Mayhem flashed her chest. Yeah, that was funny in the Robot Chicken parody. Okay, so Laugh Olympics, not story heavy. It's just a bunch of dumb, mindless fun with your favorite cartoon characters, but that's what made it kind of entertaining. I'll put it on to B. It's not a must-watch series, but it is so fun seeing all these characters clash and in basically a Mario Party style story. So we'll give it a big ol' B+. And finally, let's end things on a high note with Scooby Natural. Yes, I hear your cries, subscribers. We're gonna finally do Scooby Natural. Ironic because the real-life Olympics were canceled during World War II, lol. Yeah. This was a better crossover than Scoob because it's not trying to set up multiple movies that are never happening. Like I like Japan and Sherwood Forest moment. Yeah, I kind of do too. Alright, let's end this with Scooby Natural. Scooby-Doo meets Supernatural. The Winchester brothers enter TV land. The Winchester brothers are on one of their haunted cases and accidentally go into the universe of Scooby-Doo, where Scooby-Doo meets the Winchester bros from Supernatural to crack the case of the Phantom Shadow, except things take a dark turn. Yeah, Scooby-Natural also going on to S tier. This crossover, it's insane that they actually made this. It truly is. Scooby-Doo meets the Winchester brothers. I know Jensen Ackles and Jared Padalecki, so I've seen them in a lot of horror material. They are good, and they have a lot of funny interactions with the Scooby Gang. So, I will warn you, I'm not super well versed in the supernatural lore, mythos, and universe, but I, like everybody else, watched this because we got to see the Winchester bros meet the Scooby Gang. The Scooby Gang is played by the current voice cast: Frank Welker, Matthew Lillard as Shaggy, Gray DeLeo Griffin as Daphne, and Kate Micucci's Velma. I will say Kate Micucci got to be funny in this one because she's actually written like a more well-rounded character. The Winchester brothers meet the Scooby Gang and they find out the Phantom Shadow is real. The Phantom Shadow actually becomes a real ghost and is going around killing people, forcing the Winchesters to team up with the Scooby Gang to stop this supernatural case, and getting into a lot of wacky antics and crazy-ass scenarios along the way. Scooby-Natural was so amazing. Hey, Yara, you made it back for the good one. This is the GOAT. Yeah, it's gone on to S tier because I am completely blown away that they actually made this crossover. The CW has had a lot of infamous ratings traps and stunts, so the fact that this got made is truly a miracle. Ending things on a high note with Scooby-Natural. Yep, finally talking about it. Nice. Like Matt Pat say that Supernatural was the case for the 13 Ghosts, Boo Brothers, and Ghoul School, bringing in supernatural beings. I never saw Supernatural, I only saw that episode someone mentioned how Dean tried to hook up with Daphne, despite her being a teen and Dean in his 20s. Well, she's a cartoon character, and to be fair, we never get a age on how old the Scooby Gang are. But yeah, Scooby-Doo, where are you? Strongly infers that they're still in high school. But it's okay, it's Gray DeLeo's Daphne. I mean, half of the CW was WB, pretty much. To hear Daphne crush and the gang going insane, to knowing that ghosts are real was both funny and disturbing. Yeah, so the gang kind of have a meltdown when the Winchester brothers tell them that, oh, these are real supernatural beings. Spirits and ghosts are real where we come from. And the Scooby Gang has like a complete crisis of faith, and it's kind of funny and also kind of disturbing. What? Monsters are real? You mean we've been wasting our lives chasing fake ghosts when I could have been hunting Dracula? My life is a lie. Fred's like beating himself up. Daphne is afraid she's going to hell, which raises a ton of questions. Am I going to hell? I knew it! I'm going to hell! And Shaggy says, like we warned you, Daph, you shouldn't have done that. And raises a lot of concerning questions. Yeah, the gang kind of suffers a really trippy experience in this. The Scooby Gang is pretty much ripped and parodied here, and unlike that show we don't want to speak of, it's actually funny here. This is actual good adult Scooby-Doo, because the Scooby Gang are like forced to confront a lot of things they wouldn't face on their kid-friendly shows. The first way they entered Scooby-Doo is consistent with supernatural lore. Okay, it was. I believe they're like chasing like an arc villain. It turns out that the ghost is not actually the villain. It's a spirit of a dead child being manipulated by this evil antique shop guy. He sold them a TV, and the Winchesters bring the TV to their man cave. It has a belonging that belongs to the ghost. The Phantom Shadow is actually a long-lost ghost kid who came to Scooby-Doo to seek refuge back in his childhood memories or something, and the Winchester brothers help the ghost move on into the next life, help them solve the mystery, and help the ghost boy find peace, and they reset Scooby-Doo back onto their status quo. My favorite moment when Dean tried to copy Scooby and Shaggy eating the sandwich. Yeah, they make fun of the cartoon logic a lot, like Akira and Mystery Inc. ages high schooler age. Well, this was based on a classic Where Are You episode. Yeah, The Phantom Shadow. This was an unexpected but great crossover. Thanks, Shadowlink. You made it in time for the high note, Scooby Natural. And Velma hitting on Sam is classic. Yeah, so one of the Winchester brothers is trying to hit on Daphne, and Daphne hilariously doesn't notice, or she might, but she's trying to reject him. And his crush with Daphne goes nowhere, and instead, Velma makes the move on one of the Winchesters, giving a heavy dose. What a man, jinkies. The first time Kate Micucci's Velma legit made me laugh. Yeah, this is based on the Phantom Shadow episode. They're in the Phantom Shadow episode. Ironic when it's one of the episodes they replay the least. Could we use that line of Daphne Blake saying she's going to hell for a future review? Have to find the right moment, Akira. Yeah, Velma hits on Sam. That was classic. Like, this is so cool. Like the vengeful spirit. This was almost like Five Nights at Freddy's reference. Kind of. Yeah, the reason Castile wasn't with them immediately was tied to the art of the scene. The arc of the season, yeah. Castile wasn't in this episode. One of their third friends appears in this later. He, like, shows up halfway in the episode and gets caught in, like, the washing machine or something. Yeah, the worst part is there's kind of the looming season-long story arc happening, and at the end of the episode, they, like, get the next MacGuffin for the next story arc episode. That might confuse some people, especially if you're not versed in Supernatural like me. So, the Winchester brothers help the Scooby Gang solve the case, they stop the evil Phantom Shadow, help the Ghost Boy go rest in peace, and they foil the true bad guy. It was this evil antique owner. He was like selling them cursed artifacts. He gets arrested and says the catchphrase. And I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling kids and their dumb dog. He said it. He said the thing. He said it. Ruby-dooby-doo. What the heck are you doing? Yeah, funny joke ending where they make fun of Scooby's catchphrase and usual formula. Yeah, Sam and Velma never kiss on screen. This crossover episode was the episode that got me into Supernatural and got me into watching every episode of the show in order. There's like 20 seasons now, and we're getting a Supernatural prequel, so buckle up for more. Like It Looks, best mature Scooby-Doo show. Much better than Mindy Kaling's attempt, like Supernatural makes Scooby-Doo universe canon. Technically no, they're in the cartoon world, but they go back into the real world, the supernatural world. Okay, so, to wrap up, Scooby-Natural, yeah, I agree, it's a good crossover. It's amazing that this episode even exists, and I can see why a lot of fans like it. Will I review it? Not sure, because I'm kind of afraid that there's a ton of Supernatural continuity tied to it, and, CW might block it. But yeah, Scooby-Natural, it is S tier, just like the show it is connected to. So, that pretty much completes our tier list. We did it! We did them all! We talked about every special Scooby-Doo TV show, including 2 epic crossovers meeting the Winchester brothers and Johnny Bravo. I'll go over it one last time for any late birds, or for those of you who skip-click all the way to the end. Which was funny, because Jared and Jensen were almost 40 by that point. Yeah, they were, but hey, they're cartoons, so it's not pedophilia. Like, so good, and I like waiting for Telltale mature Scooby-Doo game. Yeah, Telltale absolutely should, but they're still working on The Wolf Among Us too, so fingers crossed that gets complete. Like It Looks best Scooby-Doo show. It kinda does. Okay, so, yeah, that completes our tier list. Take one last snapshot, see them all. A lot more good than bad, which I'm shocked, but you all knew what was bad, so let's go over this tier list one last time. Any late birds showing up, or those of you who skip-click to the end to see my ranking in full. Obviously, a lot more positive than I thought, but we'll go over it. At rock bottom in Velma is What else? Mindy Kaling's Velma. Screw this show. Undoubtedly the worst Scooby-Doo product of all time. It's where it belongs, in its own hell. Then in F tier, Shaggy and Scooby-Doo Get a Clue. This show was a confused mess. It was not good. It was not that funny, and kind of fumbled its own premise. It's going on to F tier. It's plain bad. But the one high note it has is that it's not Mindy Kaling's Velma. Funny enough, none in D tier, but in C tier are below average Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, and Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo. Yeah, these shows were kind of duds. They were complete messes. Some interesting moments, like seeing Kevin Conroy's Batman, or from the Scrappy-Doo era, some interesting unique monster designs, but ultimately, don't recommend them. They're kind of forgettable. That's why they're on C tier. They're actually very little, just one tiny reference to the arc. Okay. Nothing was bad or good enough for D rank, yep. And what's next for October? I got my Simpsons one coming out. The Terror Tales from the Park might get a tier list, though. So the next tier list, let it be the Power Rangers Allies or Saw Traps. Saw might be fitting for October. We wait for Go Go Mystery Machine. Hope that's good. Hope it's good. Alright, next, B tier, the okay shows, Be Cool Scooby-Doo, The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, and The Laugh Olympics. Yeah, these shows, they're alright, they're fine, have some bad in them, but ultimately I would say they're watchable. These are serviceable Scooby-Doo entries. Then in A tier, the first new Scooby-Doo movies, the first guest star show, and the new Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo mysteries. Yeah, these ones pretty good. I like them. They're fun. They're pretty much pure Scooby-Doo enjoyment. They do a lot of fun and unique things with the Scooby-Doo formula, and I would say they are definitely golden entries. But up top, what it made it to S tier, what are the best Scooby-Doo TV programs? Should I check it up on comments? Like any Buffy monster tier list? Might be too many. Buffy lasted like 6 to 7 seasons. Okay, so let's end this with the S tier. What made it up top? What are the best Scooby-Doo products? Scooby Natural. Really epic crossover. It is good. Yes, I do agree. It is a pleasant surprise at how great it was. Scooby Natural is a bossa nova entry. Bravo Doobie-Doo. Yeah, what can I say? I like this one. I like Scooby-Doo meeting Johnny Bravo, interacting with his show. It is also a fun crossover. I know it's not as serious as Scooby Natural, but I find it much funnier. Then, A Pup Named Scooby-Doo, a rare good prequel. The Scooby-Doo Show, pretty much an extension of Scooby-Doo Where Are You, but with a lot of the iconic villains. Speaking of which, Scooby-Doo Where Are You? Yep, it's a classic. It still holds up. It is as good as TMNT and Transformers G1. I still think it's a solid cartoon. What's New Scooby-Doo? Yeah, this is the Scooby show I grew up with. I absolutely love it. Still have a blast. It is the best modern Scooby-Doo show, and I still stand by that today. One of my favorites. But number one has to go to Mystery Incorporated. Yeah, was there really any doubt? Everything great about Scooby-Doo is in this show, and they delivered one epic story arc. Mystery Incorporated is my number one Scooby-Doo show. Any zombie or vampire movie tier list. Thought about doing Blade. I want to do like the Blade movies, but I have to unfortunately rewatch Blade Trinity. And are you a simp for Daphne or Velma? Might have to go with Daphne because I like Grey DeLisle so much. And what's new Scooby-Doo? Easily my favorite Daphne. And it's cool. And bye Akira. Mystery Inc. is the GOAT. Yep, it is. Mystery Incorporated's the GOAT. What's our next tier list? Well, I've been gearing up some Halloween specials, doing a lot more October ideas. I recently released another Halloween video, and Wolf did a horror DC review. Go check those out on Patreon. Got new videos coming up, hoping to surprise you with them. Then, for tier lists, we'll see. I've been storing a lot of ideas for Halloween. If I do a vampire tier list, I want to do the Blade movies, but I have to rewatch Blade Trinity, and I've kind of avoided that movie like the plague. This was great. Thanks, Bat Kid. Please let it be Saw Trap tier list. Yeah, I know people want me to talk about the Saw movies. I also have to rewatch a lot of them. Some I completely skipped out on watching, like Spiral, and I've not seen fully Saw X yet. I've seen clips of it, and I do not like Jigsaw. Alright, so yeah, Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated, #1 Scooby-Doo show, and Velma appropriately at rock bottom. Take one last picture of the tier list if you can't see. I will be continuing some tier lists in the future, but been planning a lot more October ones, so not sure if it will get any more in September, but we'll see if there's popular demand. Yeah, that'd be the Saw Trap tier list. Alright, so thank you all for watching. I'm glad you like these tier lists. I had fun doing them. Lasted a lot longer than expected. Scooby-Doo is a great franchise, and as you can see, a lot more good shows than the bad shows. So that's what makes Scooby-Doo a timeless classic. But I'll set you guys free now because we're running out of time. Alright, so thank you all for watching. I hope you tune in for the next one. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more content posted here on Wolf Entertainment. When will you make an Alfred tier list? I want to do more villains first. Bye everyone, great video. Bye V-Scorpio. So thank y'all for watching. I'm your host Catastrophe, and I'll see you all on the next one. Scooby-Dooby-Doo!